A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's go! Let's go! Firefighters! Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a moment, we'll join Chief Cody and rookie fireman Tim Collins at the apartment house, where a few minutes ago, a large quantity of gasoline was mistakenly pumped into the fuel tank in the basement. Already the slow seepage has turned the furnace into a roaring monster, but the danger of the fire spreading is nothing compared to the possibility of a terrible explosion, which both men fully expect. Unless the apartment house fuel tank can itself be turned off, well, in a moment you'll discover the only way this can be done. But first, a message for all of you. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to that roped-off area around the apartment house. Move through the trucks and firemen outside, right into the hallway where Chief Cody and rookie fireman Tim Collins are discussing the possibility of getting at the fuel tank in the basement. A few seconds ago, they had discovered it was almost hidden behind a wall of bricks. And now they discuss the next step, unaware that Tim's young brother Jimmy is listening to every word.
Smashing through that brick wall is the only way to get at the valve on the fuel tank itself, Tim.
Well, Al's outside getting volunteers right now, Chief Cody, and I know the setup down there, so I'll go with him.
It's dangerous. It'll take time.
Well, what else can we do, sir? That furnace is out of control. The pipeline to the tank is like a fuse to a keg of dynamite.
That's the point. There ought to be a faster way. You think I like sending you men down there when the whole place may go up like an ammunition dump?
Well, it's a tough break. That tank has to be up high on a shelf extending out under the sidewalk, Chief.
It's tougher that some fool had to brick it all up. Protection, yes. But to leave just that small opening high up.
When I climbed up on that barrel, I couldn't quite reach the valve on the tank.
I know, Tim. Nobody could. Nobody but a kid could crawl through an opening that size.
Well, gee whiz, I'm a kid.
I thought we told you to go along outside, Jimmy.
Look, Tim, if this is a hurry-up job, it wouldn't take long for me to crawl through that hole and turn the tank off.
No, Jimmy. Forget it.
Tim, if that tank goes up with the garage next door, there's going to be a lot of lives lost before it's over.
Well, you mean you go along with Jimmy's idea?
I hate it as much as you do, Tim, but, well, it would be fast. Might be over in time to prevent a real tragedy.
Yes, sir. But if Jimmy couldn't get that valve turned off in time...
Yes, I know just how you feel.
Don't you see, Tim? I gotta do it. There's no other way.
Oh, yes, there is, Jimmy. Yes, there is. Men with sledgehammers, crowbars, working on that wall.
But you said that way there might not be time. I'll come through all right. Let me try.
No, I can't, Jimmy. I can't think of Mom.
Well, this is one case where I don't give the orders, Tim. Jimmy's your brother, and you'll have to say the word. But you'll have to say it fast. Time is something we haven't got.
Well, if you was me, Tim, you'd want to do this. Gosh, you know you would.
Well, yes, I suppose I would. All right, Jimmy, all right, we'll go down to the basement and I'll hoist you up so you can crawl in next to the tank and turn that valve off.
I'm sorry, Tim. In a case like this, I can't endanger 2 members of the same family. Surely you see that.
Well, yes, sir. I can also see how dangerous you think this job is.
Unless those men working in the furnace room down there...
Well, they can't even get in there, sir. The place was a furnace itself.
Still, you want to see if they've got anywhere with the chemicals and sand, huh?
Yes, sir. I'll take a quick look. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, looks like most of the tenants have been evacuated, Jimmy. Suppose we move outside for a moment, huh?
Oh, gee whiz, I thought you couldn't use hose on this fire.
We will, Jimmy. We've got lines in to cover that room right above the furnace when it starts eating through, and lines to cover the stairway.
Say, there's Clyde, the gasoline delivery man, the one who pumped gas in the wrong tank.
Hey, send that fellow up here.
But he didn't mean to, Chief. It was a mistake. He thought the pipe on the sidewalk went to the garage gas tank. He didn't know it led to the apartment house.
The kid's right, Chief. Those intake pipes are side by side. I got the wrong one.
Okay, but why didn't you report it?
Well, I was afraid I'd lose my job, and
And I never dreamed the furnace in the apartment house would be on now.
As a matter of fact, it was a tenant who started this. She couldn't find the super, and she went down to the basement and monkeyed with that furnace herself.
When I got to thinking about it, I knew I had to come back, job or no job, and try to pump that tank out.
You're a little late for that, Clyde. I'm afraid you're in a spot.
Yeah, I know. And I deserve whatever I get. When I saw the trucks, I knew what a fool I'd been.
I had to report what happened, Clyde. Honest, I did.
Of course you did, Jimmy. Any junior firefighter would have done the same.
And now Chief Cody's going to let me go down and turn that tank off before it explodes.
Well, they're not making any headway, Chief Cody. I guess it's up to Jimmy.
Well, if there's no other way, we'll get us a volunteer.
Now, wait a minute. You need somebody to go down there with Jimmy?
That's right, but I'm not ordering
Let me
anyone.
go with him. If I could make up for what I did.
Well, it's a fine time to think of that.
I know how you feel, Tim, but Clyde's the logical man. I don't say this will square him with the authorities, but...
Oh, Chief, won't you let me go?
I'm sorry, son. Clyde, you'll have to lift Jimmy up to the opening through the brick wall into the tank.
Yes.
You'll see the difficulty the minute you get there.
Okay. Now, we left a barrel there for you to climb up on. Now, keep an eye on my brother, will you? And Jimmy, good luck.
Thanks, Tim.
We'll do what we can to make it easier. Tim, you call those men off down there. It's Jimmy's job now.
The youngster and Clyde head for the basement stairs, while Chief Cody tries to occupy the mind of his deeply troubled rookie fireman as he heads outside to direct operations.
Well, Tim, looks like we got one break anyway. The wind's right. Al, you and Jake take your men and get up on that roof. Give them all the ventilation you can.
I don't get it, Chief. What's the point?
Well, you're still a rookie, Tim. You got a lot to learn. Al and Jake will open up anything they can get their hands on up there. Elevator shaft, dumbwaiter shaft, anything direct to the basement.
Oh, I see.
Ventilation will help some. You see, those fumes will be rolling out of the furnace room, piling up. There's always danger of a backdraft explosion if you don't give them some way to escape.
Meanwhile, in the basement, moving slowly through the intense heat and smoke, young Jimmy and Clyde work their way toward the fuel tank. From the now closed-off furnace room, they can hear the angry roar of the blazing furnace.
Don't go that way, Clyde. Over here.
You can't see your hand in front of your face. Where's that doggone tank anyway?
Oh, follow me. I got a pal lives in this building. He and I used to play down here sometimes. I know just where the tank is. Ow! I bumped into something.
Hey, let's see. It's a barrel, Jimmy.
Oh, that's the one Tim stood on when he tried to turn that tank off. Oh, sure, we're almost under the sidewalk now. The tank is behind this brick wall.
For Pete's sake, what were they trying to do? Hide it?
You're supposed to protect the fuel tank, but I guess some dope forgot you might have to turn it off someday.
Nice of him to leave that little opening up there. Yeah, let me get up on that barrel. Take a look.
I don't think you can reach it if Tim couldn't.
Yeah, let me have that flashlight, kid.
There.
Thanks.
Tim said even when Chief Cody boosted him up, he couldn't reach in far enough to get hold of the valve on the tank.
Yeah, I can see that now.
Give me a hand up on the barrel with you.
Okay. Yeah, I got you, Jimmy. Now try to keep your balance while I boost you up.
Right.
Grab hold of the pipe that leads into the tank.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Can you hold me steady while I try to wriggle through?
Yeah, good luck, kid. Put your feet on my shoulders.
Yeah.
There. Can you make it okay now?
That's just room enough for me to squeeze through. Boy, is it hot in here. And dark.
Reach out of there. Get the flashlight, Jimmy. I'll hold it up as high as I can.
Right. I got it. Oh, let me find that valve now.
You having any trouble?
There's not much room to move around in. I see that valve thing now, Clyde. Just let me get over to it and I'll turn it off. No more gas will get into that furnace.
Yeah, what kind of a valve is it, kid?
Gee, I don't know. It's sort of like a little wheel set in the pipe.
I see. Well, listen careful, Jimmy. Turn that to your right. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Clyde, I'm trying. I can't seem to turn it.
What?
I've tried and I've tried till my hands are all scraped. It just won't turn.
Well, stop a minute. Take a good look at it with your flash. Is it rusty or something?
Oh, yeah. It's awful rusty. Is that why I can't turn it, Clyde?
Brother, what a mess. It's no go, Jimmy. You'll never be able to turn it off. Get out of there while we still have a chance.
No, I'm not going to climb out of here until I turn this off. Chief Cody and Tim wouldn't give up. I'm not going to do it either. I don't care what happens. I'm not going to give up.
Is young Jimmy Collins trying to do the impossible? With every second as precious as life itself, he's kneeling beside the rusty valve, working frantically to shut it off. Clyde, standing in the basement, realizes all too well the terrific heat and fumes the boy is working inside the tank enclosure. But there's no way he can get Jimmy out, and Jimmy refuses to give up. To learn what happens now, be sure to listen to our next exciting episode of the Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here's a message you'll want to hear. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special assignment for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Here is your special assignment, boys and girls. Firefighters, attention. Somewhere in your home are oil mops or oily polishing rags which your mother uses on furniture and such things. Now, these are necessary for good housekeeping, but they can be dangerous, too, especially because they're often put away in closets where the ventilation is limited. Now, check up on this. If mops and rags can't be hung outside in the open air, then try to see that they are stored in some kind of closed metal container. That's all for now. Until next time, so long.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins and his young brother Jimmy will all be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go! Let's go! Firefighters!
The American Broadcasting Company presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington. United States Counterspies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad. These Counterspy reports to the American people are brought to you each Tuesday and Thursday. Tonight, Case of the Foolish Father.
This is your regular table, Mr. Baker. You please sit down.
Yeah, sure, pal. I'll get some bread and rolls on this table. I haven't got all night. What's the good of my owning this joint if I can't get
Mr.
served?
Baker, sure.
Oh, why hasn't the floor show started yet? What goes on here, anyway?
Take it easy, Lefty. It's only 10:30.
Bobo, you know I got that date with Hickman. Pal, I'll get going. Will you go tell the band leader, tell Charlie to start the floor show? I want to see that new dame. Put her on first.
Sure, Mr. Baker. Right away, Mr. Baker.
Oh, people take all year to do the simplest thing. Your trouble is you're a hurrysome guy, Lefty. Take it easy.
Like you, Bobo, you fat monkey. I got a lot of things to do in my life. Why don't they start the show?
The show. What's so terrific about the show? A crummy comic and 6 tired chorus babes.
Selena.
Oh, the new snake dance?
Uh-huh. I saw the photos when Charlie booked her. She dances in a filmy costume with a fake snake. Hold it.
Thank you, and good evening, folks. Good evening. It's a privilege to welcome you to the Green Grotto, Liberty City's snappiest recreation center. Tonight, we've got a special treat for you, and here it is.
That guy talks too long.
The Dance of the Surfing Queen by Selena. Joe, the violet spotlight, please. Oompa, music.
Oh, look at her.
Yeah. Why does she waste time with that snake?
Oh, Mother, get my asbestos suit. I'm going to a fire.
You're all thin body. You want a drink?
Shut up, Papa. Leave me alone.
Hey, Lefty, you know what time it is?
What a disheroo.
You'll be late for seeing Hickman.
Yeah, let him wait.
Lefty, everything hangs on that.
Look, Bobo, the minute she finishes, go back and tell her to wait for me in the dressing room. Don't let her leave, huh?
Okay.
I'll be back as soon as I finish with Hickman. Look at her, Bobo. I'll see you later.
Well, you're a little early, Lefty.
Oh, it's better than late, isn't it?
Yeah. Sit down.
Look, I'm in a hurry, Hickman.
Aren't you always? That's why I picked you, Lefty, as my right-hand man a year ago. And you've done all right, haven't you?
Not all right enough.
I don't get you, Lefty.
Things have to move faster. I got no time for them.
Impatience is foolish, my boy. Took me 20 years to work up to the head of the organization. Today I control every racket in Liberty City.
Uh-huh. None of them amount to beans except the numbers, and I want a bigger cut.
Greedy, aren't you?
Well, I take all the chances. The runners all know me, not you. I have the policy slips printed and distributed. It's worth more than 1/3.
I could get angry at you, Lefty. But I'm going to try persuasion first, because you're a good man. You know my basic idea. Run a racket like a respectable business. Build confidence among the men. A clear line of promotion for merit. Now, you know you're going to take my place someday. You'll deserve it. Then you'll sit in this hideout office.
All very pretty, Hickman, but 100 years from now we'll be dead. I ain't got time to wait.
I won't give you a bigger cut. That's final.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got something even more final.
A gun. You fool. We all end up in the grave, Lefty. Why hurry to get there?
Selena! All right, hold everything. Selena will be back for the late show, midnight, with an even more daring dance.
Hey, Paolo.
Yes, Mr. Folks.
Hold the next course for a few minutes. I gotta go backstage and see Selena. Mr. Baker wants to talk to her when he gets back.
In their interpretation of Oink Oink, life down on the farm. Here we go.
Hello, honey. I'm Lefty Baker.
Yes, a funny little man named Bobo said you were coming.
I own this joint, you know.
Somebody has to own it. Why not you?
You know, you're terrific.
I'm supposed to be.
Tomorrow morning, your name goes up in lights outside the club.
Good.
I'm going to have 2 dressing rooms made into one and fixed up to knock your eye out.
Good.
I'm going to double your salary.
Good.
In exchange, no guys around you but me.
You move fast, don't you?
I think fast, talk fast, and act fast. I hate molasses. If you don't do, you order.
Well, see if you can listen as fast as you do everything else. I'm turning it down cold.
Well, what's the matter?
I like everything about the setup except...
Except what? Come on.
The biggest mistake a girl like me can make is take on guys like you. There's no security in it.
All right, stop talking from left field. Tell me what else you want. You can have it.
Marriage. I thought that'd cool you out. Well, it's been nice knowing you, Lefty.
How long does it take to get married?
You need licenses and things. Wait 2 weeks. After that, maybe 5 minutes.
I'll get everything set tomorrow.
Are you on the level?
Where you staying?
Liberty City Arms Hotel.
All right, I'll pick you up there tomorrow morning at 11. We'll set everything. People get married in church, don't they?
Okay, Lefty. I'll take you up. You just got yourself engaged. On one condition.
All right, don't drag this out. I got an appointment on the other side of town in 10 minutes.
I've been taking care of my father for 4 years, since Mom died. You have to let him live with us.
Was that all? Sure. Oh, I may not get back here to see a second show, but I'll be at your hotel 11 tomorrow morning.
Well.
Attention all Washington Counterspy personnel. This is David Harding's assistant, Harry Peters, speaking. Here's Mr. Harding. 8 days ago, C.J. Hickman, the crime boss of Liberty City, District 11, was found shot to death in his hideaway private office. According to the facts received here in Counterspy Central Analysis, no clues to his murder have been found, though we have our suspicions. First result of the murder is the accession to gang leadership of George Baker, known in the underworld as Hurry Up Lefty. Second result is a grand jury investigation of criminal corruption in Liberty City, and Counterspy aid has been officially requested by the City Council. From tonight on, my assistant Peters and I will be working out of temporary headquarters in Liberty City.
Get a load of this, honey. Private elevator to my penthouse apartment. I had it souped up fast.
Our penthouse apartment.
Yeah, that's right, baby. Well, we only been married 20 minutes. Let me catch my breath,
What's the matter? Things too fast for you?
That's why I go for you, sweetheart. You're the fastest thing next to me I ever heard of. Huh? Top floor. Heaven. Like it?
How many rooms?
Oh, 5, 6, I forget. 3 baths, 2 terraces.
Rooms all as big as this one?
Oh, the kitchen's kind of small.
Servant?
Yeah, Bobo Falk, the little fat guy that's with me all the time. He's my right-hand man, personal stooge, and cook. Think you made a bum deal, sweetheart?
Put your arms around me, Lefty.
I heard you the first time, baby.
You always hear of dopes getting married fast, and they tell you it lasts a lifetime. Why shouldn't smarties like us have the same luck?
Well, me, I live for now. Then I got you.
You sure have. Ooh, what's that? Beginning of the second round?
Somebody coming up in the elevator. Bobo, maybe.
Oh, Lefty. I forgot.
What? A husband someplace?
My pappy.
Who?
My father, don't you remember? He's going to live here, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, there's an extra bedroom and bath in the back you can have.
Oh, hiya, Pop. Come on in. Lefty, this is Pop. Pop, this is Lefty.
Hiya, Pop.
Hi. Oh, that elevator come up so fast I'm dizzy.
Oh, Pop, didn't you bring some bags or something?
Bags? Oh, I wasn't sure this was all on the level, so I checked myself at the depot. Any ale in the house, Elsie?
Ale? I don't know. Oh, Pop drinks ale all day long, Lefty.
Well, there's everything out in the kitchen.
Yeah, I'll go find it. What did you say your name is, Elsie?
Mrs. George Baker.
Used to know a linotype operator named Barker. No. Well, I'm awful thirsty. I'll go see about that ale. Call me when you want supper cooked, Elsie.
You bet, Pop.
Oh, what's the matter?
You ought to see your face.
Is that old Crumb really your old man?
Well, he and Mom always said so.
Yeah, but look at you and look at him. Yeah, the way he dresses. Sort of a cowboy felt hat, a shirt but no collar, and a gold collar button showing. Yeah. What's he mean, let him know when you want supper cooked?
He likes to cook. He'll insist on doing all the cooking.
Oh, great. Bobo will love that. Is that what he is, a cook? Short order?
No. Cooking's just for fun. He's a printing compositor. Has been ever since he got out of school. Say, maybe you can find him a job.
What's he need a job for? You just give him all the dough he wants.
No, it'll be better if he works. You can find him something, I bet you.
No. I got a little print shop in the cellar of the Green Grotto Club. Prints all the menus and stuff. Maybe you could take that over.
No, you're sweet, Lefty.
Yeah.
I mean it. I'm not going to do a thing but make you a real home here.
Oh? We got a home, baby. And what are you talking about, doing nothing else? You're going to go right on dancing at the Green Grotto. I want the whole world to know what I got, baby.
This Liberty City setup is trouble, Dave.
They all are, Peters, at first.
The worst is it looks easy. Here we've got a couple of hundred of the policy slips used by the racket, but no luck in tracing them.
You heard yet from all the paper companies?
Well, it narrowed down pretty fast to that jobber in Kansas City, Chief. He sold a carload lot of this paper 5 months ago to a printer in Independence, Missouri. Now, that printer failed, and the paper was sold off at auction. No record of who bought it.
Yeah, but the chances are these policy slips are printed somewhere here in Liberty City.
Well, we've checked every printer, Dave, big and little. There are 27 all told, including the printing plant at the university outside the city. Not one has this particular typeface.
Vogue Bold, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. 8-point and 12-point. And it ought to be easy to trace. You can see that a lot of the characters are defaced.
Well, we can't sit here all night and stew about it, Peter. There's only one possible lead at the moment, the one turned up in our surveillance reports.
The father of Selena, the snake dancer.
Yes, Lefty Baker's father-in-law, Pop Wilbarger. He's a printer by trade. See what that leads to, Peter.
You're listening to the case of the foolish father on Counterspy. The American economic system has always preserved the basic freedoms of the individual, the freedom to work in the place of his choice, the freedom to bargain collectively, to contract his own affairs, to own property, start an enterprise, profit from his inventiveness and his investments. These freedoms are, in fact, basic to our economic system itself. Since 1910, we have more than doubled the output of each of us for every hour we work. In the same period, we have increased our supply of machine power 4.5 times. Since 1910, we have also increased our annual income. Yet in the same period, we have reduced our working time. Remember, our unrivaled production of goods and services goes hand in hand with the preservation of our basic freedoms. Our system may have its faults. We still have a lot to do to make it bring us all the things we want. But despite these faults, it has brought more benefits to more people than any other system. So at all times, work to protect and to strengthen our American economic system. And now, back to Counterspy.
From the slot machines, Lefty, 16,481.20. Check. From the laundry concessions and linen service and all the hotels and restaurants, 6,791 cents. Check. Should be more. Those guys are slow. Yeah. Hey, ain't it time for us to go home? I'll eat upstairs in the club tonight, Bobo. You too. You got a fight with the missus already? No, only can't go home to eat no more. It's Pop. Oh, he cooks, you know. Yeah, I know. All right. He run me out of the kitchen practically. Yeah, he loves to cook, he says, and he cooks dinner every night. Only 3 times a week he cooks the same thing, and it gets me. The same thing? Yeah, shepherd's pie. For dessert? So skip dessert? Oh, shepherd's pie is no dessert. It's the main thing when you have it. It's got meat and vegetables and kind of a crust on top. Yeah? Hey, that could be good. Yeah, once a year maybe, but not 3 times a week. Yeah, I hope giving that old moocher a job running our printing plant down here to keep him out of the house, but no. Well, let's go up and get a steak, huh? Yeah. Oh, why don't you throw him out? I promised the baby. Come on, let's not hang around, Dennis. Just a second. Yeah.
Hello, sweetie.
Oh, baby. How are you?
Sweetie, if you hurry, we can have something to eat together.
Well, honey, I told you I can't stand any more of that
I know. But Pop's not fixing dinner tonight. He's going out to meet a new pal of his.
Huh? He's got a pal?
Be glad, sweetie. How fast can you get here?
You know me, baby.
Well, here I go, Dave. I'll check with you later at the office by phone.
What are you calling yourself, by the way?
Harry Peterson. Occupation printer's helper. Union card and all.
Where are you meeting Pop Wilbarger?
In Sampson's Delicatessen for a sandwich and some ale. When he got talking the other day there, he said he might have a job for me. Well, maybe he was only talking, but we'll see. Well, Pops, nice little print shop you got here.
Oh, not bad, not bad.
Well, seeing as you just hired me to help you, how about let's get going,
Will you look at this?
Oh, menu for the Green Grotto upstairs. Some prices, huh?
This face type I'm talking about. Caslon, old style. Why, we used to use that on the Tacoma Star News when I was a boy.
Yeah, it does look old-fashioned.
I'm going to change it.
To what? What other types you got here, Pop?
Some fella's been running the shop. Pretty careless. I don't know what there is. Let's look.
You bet. Some cases here. All handset stuff.
Yeah. Looks like old monotype stuff. Cheltenham.
Well, that's no good for smart menus, Pop. Cheltenham's corny.
Yep. Well, let's keep looking.
A lot of old stuff ought to be melded up.
How you on hand something, Peterson? Ever do any?
Plenty. I can handle a Ludlow, too. No linotype, though.
My eyes, you know, I'm not so young anymore. Well, maybe you'll reset this menu if we can find a decent typeface.
Hey, Pop.
What?
Here's a typeface that looks possible.
What?
It's Vogue Bold, 8-point and 12-point. It looks okay, huh, Pop?
Vogue. In good shape, is it? No eyes, you know.
No reason why it shouldn't be in good shape, is there? And say...
Yeah?
Back here in the dark. And there must be at least 2 tons of paper. Can we use that?
Lefty, he owns all this. He said stick to the regular menu paper, the heavy stuff.
Well, maybe so, Pop, but we want to do a real smart job for the night club, don't we? And Lefty will be happy when he sees it. So give me that menu copy and I'll go to work. These will be the most surprising menus Lefty ever saw.
Sweetie, I have to admit it. I like Bobo's cooking better than Pop's.
He's a character, your old man.
Oh, I don't know.
That gold collar button of his always sitting in the kitchen slopping up ale.
Yeah, I'll tell you a secret. He says his eyes are getting weak. Actually, he's boozy half the time and he can't see straight.
Well, let the old gig have some fun.
You know, you're different tonight, Lefty.
Who, me? Never.
You ate your food as if you had a little time for it. And you're sitting still. You're not looking at your wristwatch every 2 minutes.
Well, I'm a happy guy, that's why. And you did it, baby.
In a month? I'll go on.
No, honest, you make me forget everything else.
Lefty, this grand jury investigation going on with counterspies. Are they after you? Well, then...
Now, don't you worry your little sconce about it, huh? What's the matter? You worried you wind up broke?
I'm worried about you, sweetie.
All right, then you forget it. I'm too fast for anybody.
Oh.
What's the matter?
Look at the time. I'm due at the club for the first show.
Oh, okay, baby. You get your duds. Bobo and I'll be waiting for you downstairs in the car. I think I'll take in the show tonight.
You take it in every night.
Well, I gotta keep an eye on my good luck job. Come on, you better hustle.
Dave. Hello, Dave.
Yes, Peters, what's up?
I can't explain now. I just ducked out of the print shop to a phone booth. Can you come to the Green Grotto for dinner?
Of course. You expect something?
I've taken a wild chance, and it may lead to a blow-off. Now, when you get there, keep your eyes on Lefty Baker, especially when he sees the newly printed menu.
Good evening, and welcome to the Green Grotto, and another evening of fun and frivol in Liberty City's gay spot. Yes, sirree. Well, we start off our all-star floor show with a little girl who's captured every heart in the city, the beautiful, exotic charmer in her dance of the Serpent Queen, Salina!
That's all I gotta say, Bobo. Wow. Yeah. Mine. All mine. Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Baker. Dinner as usual?
No hurry tonight, Paolo.
Okay, Mr. Baker. I leave 2 menus with you.
Okay, Paolo. Look at it, Bobo. It's murder. Plain murder. I'll say it is. Lefty. Look at this menu. That pipe down, will you? I'm not ready to order. Lefty, look at this menu. Yeah, so you like the paper it's printed on? Yeah, sure, it's the same. Hey, and how do you like the type it's printed with? Oh, but I love it. Well, come over the old sauce. Nothing has yet, something better. Maybe he's down in a print shop. You go keep Selena company till I get back. I'm going down and take real good care of Pop.
Hey, Pop. I brought back some more ale.
That's the stuff. Sit down, boy. Nothing I like better than sitting around a print shop. Gas.
Here's yours.
Thanks. Now. Reminds me of one of Jim Bates out in the old Mountain Valley Press. Oh, yeah. He could set more type and drink more ale than any journeyman printer in the country. Yes, sir, and never pie a line or spill a drop. It's funny, I don't know why I'm yawning. Nerves, I guess.
Could be.
Peterson, you like shepherd pie?
I never had any, I don't think, Pop.
Yes, sir. He could drink more ale and set more type than any printer in the country. Jim Bates could. Has hunks of meat in it, any kind of meat. What if he got lying around?
Shepherd's pie.
And he'd never pie a line, no, sir. Of course, potatoes and vegetables, anything that's lying around. Different every time, see? Only always the same. I'll make you some.
Here's more ale, Pop.
Hey, Pop, did you print up these new... Who are you, Jack?
Peterson's the name, Mr. Baker. Mr. Wilbarger's helper.
Helper since when?
Since tonight, Mr. Baker. Did we do anything wrong?
Somebody did. I told this old goat not to touch anything in the shop but what he needed for menus and table cards. He used the wrong paper and the wrong type.
Well, I know they're the same as the policy slips printed down there.
Policy slips? What do you know about policy slips? Come on, spill it, wise guy. What's your rank?
I just wanted you and me to have a talk.
We're having it with a gun in my hand, so talk fast.
Well, like you say, Mr. Baker, I've got an angle. I want to tie up with a smart guy like you. You wouldn't want me unless I did something smart, so I conned Pop into hiring me.
You're not smart after all, Peterson, because you did something that can wipe out my whole racket. That's why you and the old South here going to get it.
Lefty.
What? Selena, for the love of Mike.
She got the whole story out of me, Lefty. What are you going to do to Pop? You were going to kill him, weren't you?
Oh, gee, honey.
Yes, he was, Selena.
Lefty, you crummy crook.
Ah, honey, I took the old bum on because you asked me. That don't give him the right to louse up my whole racket. Bobo, take her out of here.
Yes, sure, Lefty.
Will you touch me and I'll claw you wide open.
Hey, geez, Lefty!
Go on, you sap. You're scared of a dame.
Let's see you do it, Lefty. Why don't you give her what you gave your old boss, Hickman?
Shut up.
Lefty, I draw the line at murder. Pop and me are getting out of here. Come on, Pop, wake up. This is no place for us. Oh!
All right, everybody stand where they are. That shot went to the floor just as a warning. Now, everybody...
Grab his gun, Peter. I've got it covered.
Got it, Chief. Got some handcuffs for Lefty.
Hey, well, what are you guys, cops or what?
United States Counterspy. You and your boss are both under arrest on suspicion of murder.
Murder? I didn't kill Hickman. He done it. Lefty done it. Shut up, you crummy heel.
We'll take them all in, Peter.
Hold everything, boys.
Yes, miss, what is it?
I had no part in Lefty's racket. I was just looking for a roof over me and Pop. And we had it for a while. All I want now is plenty of publicity. I think I'll look pretty good on page 1.
It's a nice wife you got, Lefty. Drop dead.
Come on, Pop. Hey, Pop. Ollie, hit the deck.
Well, sir, anytime you want shepherd's pot.
Look, get me a doctor, will you? My shoulder's bleeding.
You bet, Lefty, a doctor and the penitentiary, the way you like everything, on the double. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen on Thursday for the exciting case of the Coral Key. Suddenly, in Europe, inferior counterfeit United States money appeared, a plot to damage confidence in the dollar. But the solution lay not in Europe, but off the Keys of Florida, in a strange murder and an even stranger fishing trip. Listen on Thursday to Case of the Coral Key on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Leonard L. Bass, dramatized by Paul Milton, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Counterspy is a Phillips H. Lord production. This is ABC, the American broadcast.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it wind up in the gut of the prison of the grave. There's no other end. But they never learn. This time it was going to be a vacation in the wide open spaces. But a black stallion, a tiny emerald, and a battered horseshoe meant a 24-hour delay. It could have been worse, because to the dude from Manhattan, they meant death.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of mystery, comes his most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy, as we present The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Dude from Manhattan.
Every so often, life in the city seems to boil down to nothing but noise and concrete, where all a deep breath does for you is to pack more exhaust fumes into your lungs. And the nearest thing to nature is a mangy sparrow pecking survival out of a dirty alley. So when I got a long-distance call from an old friend inviting me to spend a week in the great outdoors at a ranch he just bought near Rattlesnake Mountain, I snapped at the chance. Inside an hour, I was rolling down the highway toward San Bernardino. And 120 miles later, at 5 o'clock, I turned in under a big arch of gnarled cedar that spelled out Rainbow Ranch. But the layout beyond was about as primitive as a dry martini. A ranch house the size of a Union Station was backed up by blue-tile swimming pool, paved tennis court, and a semicircle of bungalows with all the rustic charm of a Hollywood motel. I drove on in slowly as a broad-brimmed hat, red gabardine shirt, hickok belt, and hand-tooled boots bounced out the door and ran toward me. It was my host, the ex-hotel man, Harold R. Lawson.
Oh, rascal. How are you, boy? I am sure glad you could make it. File out, and I'll show you around.
Hey, what is all this, Harold? From your phone call, I expected a shack with oil lamps, a wood stove, and at least a few head of cattle.
Oh, you mean I didn't tell you? Why, this is a guest ranch, Phil. Guest ranch. The best in the West.
Oh, brother.
Oh, and incidentally, don't call me Harold.
No, huh?
Bad atmosphere for the dudes. The name's Buck now. Buck Lawson.
Buck? Oh, no.
Oh, I got a real spread here, Phil. Real spread. 14 big cabins, string of 30 horses, stables down there.
Yeah.
Hello, Buck. Beautiful day, isn't it? Howdy, folks. Sure is. Mr. and Mrs. Doberman. He's a big van and storage man in L.A.
Oh.
As I was saying, Thunder!
Who's coming? Red Rider?
Not funny, Phil, not funny. Look, it's Thunder. Oh, that black devil, he's loose again. That horse will kick the fence down if those fools don't hold him.
Hey, that's some animal. He's a beauty.
Yes, and a renegade. A skittish, temperamental bronco with anybody but Virgil Sawyer.
Yeah? Oh, they got a rope on him now. That'll hold him, huh?
Not for long. Sawyer's the only hand I've got who can get close to that stallion. And he's leaving tomorrow. Blast it.
How come?
Well, frankly, that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah, wait a minute. I came up here for a rest, not a job.
I know. You'll get it, Phil. You'll get it. But since you're here, I figure you could sort of keep your eyes open for me.
Lawson, it's a dirty trick.
No, Phil, please. I'm expecting trouble, and bluntly, I can't afford it. Every cent I've got is tied up in this ranch. A serious scandal could ruin me. And you're just the one who can keep that sort of thing from happening.
Okay. So it's the old hotel business on horseback. How does this Sawyer mean trouble?
Well, there's a couple here from the east, the Mortons. He's a top silk wholesaler from New York and rich.
Oh?
And that kind means everything to me, Phil. But his wife, Judy, an ex-dance instructor with Arthur Murray back east, she's board stiff out here. And the upshot of it all is that somehow...
Somehow she and your cowboy Sawyer started making eyes at each other, and the husband got nasty about it, huh?
How did you know that?
Yeah, well, it's standard, like a B-picture plot.
Well, anyway, they came to blows this morning. Maybe Virgil's innocent, maybe not, but I can't take a chance, so I fired him. Ordered him to pack and get off the place by tomorrow.
Well, that's that. What are you worried about?
Plenty. Sawyer's a proud man, Marlowe. He was furious. He threatened to get even. I'm not sure he means it, but if he does, well, that's what we have to look out for.
We, huh? Now, look, Buck, you built me into coming up here, and I got a good notion to turn around...
Wait. Hold it, Phil.
What's the matter?
You see that couple going into cabin number 8?
Yeah?
That's the couple I'm talking about. The Mortons, Paul and Judy.
Cabin 8, huh? But don't tell me. Just let me guess.
Yeah. You're right, Phil. You've got number 7. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Number 7 it is. I'll be seeing you, Buck. I walked up to number 7 and waited for the boy to show up with my bag. Then I started to unpack, but stopped when I heard a riot next door.
I'm through.
At that point, sprawling Rainbow Ranch was just a horizontal tenement. Nothing more.
Well, let me point out a few. Now what are you doing? Shutting the window. Isn't it bad enough to make a fool of yourself in private? You have to make a public scene as well?
Voices rattled on for a few minutes, then dwindled off into a long and golden silence that said maybe a peace treaty had been signed. But then a door slammed to number 8, so I peeked out. It was Morton. And from the look on his face, I knew the peace treaty was nothing but an armed truce. I followed him to the big lodge and into the bar, and when he sat down, I took the stool next to him.
Well, what'll it be, gentlemen? Scotch and water, no ice.
The same, with ice. Well, Mr. Morton, I guess that brands us as Jews, huh? Bourbon's the only drink out west.
I wouldn't know, I'm sure.
Oh, it's a fact. Hey, that's a handsome ring you got there. And the initials are the same as mine. Those stones are emeralds, aren't they?
That's right.
Yeah. There's supposed to be 4 of them. One's missing, I see. Is that an emerald, too?
It was. Happens to be my birthstone.
Oh.
Here you are, gentlemen.
Oh, fine. Allow me, Mr. Morton. There you are.
Oh, thank you, sir.
How'd you lose it? Stone, I mean.
I don't know. It happened several months ago, and in any case, it's no concern of yours. Now, if you don't mind, I'd just as soon be left alone.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Here I was hoping I'd find out all about the silk business.
The silk? What do you mean by that?
Oh, just conversation. You are in that business, aren't you?
Of course, but... Hey, who are you, anyway?
Name's Marlowe.
And just why are you prying into my personal affairs, Mr. Marlowe?
Because I got a little free advice for you. Cool off before you start the kind of fire you can't put out, huh?
So that's it. That cowboy Sawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Marlowe, now you're getting too personal. I suggest that you mind your own business. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to lose my temper that way. Good night.
Yeah, it's bound to be.
Charming, isn't he?
Well, Mrs. Morton, where'd you come from?
I was standing over there watching. My husband has all the social grace of a tarantula.
Well, maybe you should have looked closer before you made the leap.
Oh, that's the wonderful thing about him.
Yeah?
You're not apt to like Paul much when you first meet him. But once you get to know him, you hate him.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's funny.
It's not supposed to be. I've been living with him for 6 months now. So jealous it's unbelievable. He wouldn't leave me in New York, oh no. Insisted on dragging me out to this dust bowl with running water. Why a ranch I'll never understand. He doesn't know one end of a horse from another.
Well, with his aptitude, he'll learn. You know, it might be he figured you two might get back together if you had a chance to relax in the open, Mrs. Morton.
Mm-hmm. So he said. However, we weren't here 10 minutes before he accused me of getting romantic with that leather-faced cowboy. Does that make sense?
I don't know. Both gentlemen are justified. You're lovely to look at.
Somebody ought to remind my husband. His idea of welding a marriage is to spend all his time playing gin with that Doberman.
Who?
Doberman, the van and storage character from Los Angeles.
Oh.
Which, of course, leaves me saddled with his wife, Carrie. Now, there's a cute personality for you if you happen to like neurotic parrots.
So, what with the desert, the dame, and gin rummy, Virgil began to look pretty good. Is that it?
Excuse me, folks. Care to order another drink before dinner?
Yes, I would. And I'd like it over there, alone. Make it Manhattan, bartender. Strictly Manhattan. And make it double. Mr. Marlowe, good night.
No, I'm not so sure. It was almost dark when I left the bar and headed down to the bunkhouse where the working personnel of Rainbow Ranch called home. The casual clutter of rumpled cots, scattered pulp fiction, and dusty boots gave it the only sign of authenticity I'd seen in the entire place. But aside from that, it was empty. Then a noise from outside brought me around the building to the back, where I ran up against 6.5 lean feet of solitary cowboy, with his hat shoved back on his head, pitching horseshoes. He was out of uniform for a flashy dude wrangler, which left him in a faded blue shirt and Levi's that fitted his lanky legs like a pair of bent stovepipes. He spotted me and stood there swinging a battered horseshoe in each hand while I walked up to him. Hello? Hiya, Sawyer. Little dark for horseshoes, isn't it?
Little.
Hey, you're good. Good at horses, too, huh? I understand you're the only man who can handle that black stallion, Thunder.
Yeah.
What's your secret?
No secret. Just have to treat him right. What's on your mind, mister?
The fact that you're leaving tomorrow.
I reckon you better keep out of my business.
Now, look, Sawyer, it takes at least 2 to make a fight. And fights are poison to Buck Lawson.
So?
I don't like to see my friends poisoned. Now, why don't you take it easy, huh? Lay off. Keep your nose clean.
I don't know who you are, mister, but I'll tell you this anyway, seeing as you're so interested. I'm leaving here tomorrow, all right. But I'm going to square up with a couple of folks first before I go. I got a raw deal here, and I'm just not the kind to take it laying down.
What do you mean, raw deal? You're a big boy now. You ought to know better than to get yourself all involved.
I'm not much for conversation, fella, but I'm going to say something real plain so you'll be sure to sally. Oh!
By the time I got myself untangled and back on my feet, the strong, silent fugitive from the old Chisholm Trail was gone. However, my original theory that it takes 2 to make a fight was still valid. So I decided to find Paul Morton and spend the rest of the evening close to him. His cabin was dark, but I remembered the running gin game he had with the big van and storage man. So I went down the line to the Doberman cabin and knocked. It was Carrie, the perennial dude, who galloped up to open the door.
Howdy, stranger. Come on in and set a spell. Our latch is always stringing out.
Well, I sure do thank you, ma'am. My name's Marlowe.
Orville, this is Mr. Marlowe.
Howdy, Marlowe.
Howdy.
Hope you'll excuse the looks of the place. Our box of extra clothes just arrived from town. Carrie's been unpacking it.
Sit down there, Mr. Marlowe. They're mostly old things. Just throw them on the floor.
Oh, thanks. But really, I can't stay. I'm looking for Paul Morton. I thought I might find him here.
Morton? Say, there's a nice chap. Met him day before yesterday for the first time and won $90 off him in gin already. Haven't seen him tonight, though.
Orville was out looking for him himself just a few minutes ago. Weren't you, dear?
Why, yes, as a matter of fact, I was.
You didn't locate him, huh?
No, I didn't. You know, he seemed to be all upset this afternoon. Couldn't keep his mind on the game. I thought I'd have a little chat with him to calm him down some.
Orville's a whiz at that, Mr. Marlowe.
Oh, it's not me, Carrie. It's this country. I don't see how a man can keep trouble in his mind on a place like this ranch, Marlowe.
It can happen, believe me.
Poppycock, why, son, there's something about this open land round here that cleans out a man's head and his heart, too.
You sound like a travelogue.
I mean it. A few more days of this and Morton will forget there ever was such a thing as a cash register. Yes, sir. Give this untamed countryside a chance, and it'll cure anything.
Yes, well...
Marlowe, come here, quick.
What was that?
Wasn't the call of the wild, Mr. Doberman. Lawson, what's the matter?
Bill, come on, down to the stable, hurry. Something terrible's happened.
boys told me. Heard Thunder raising a terrible fuss. Come over to check, but by then it was all over.
Give me the lantern, Harold, will you?
Here you are.
Holy smoke. Paul Morton, all right. He's been trampled to death.
It's a ghastly accident. And it's all my fault, Phil. I knew Thunder was dangerous, and I didn't get rid of him.
All right, take it easy.
Well,
There's a lot of questions to be answered before anybody takes the blame. Hey, wait a minute. Look at this. Here by the gate.
Oh, it's just a horseshoe. Stables are full of them, Phil.
Yeah, not like this one. Look at it. It's all battered up.
Well, all right, it's battered. Well, what's that supposed to mean?
Nothing yet. But it gives me an idea. Because the last time I saw one of these, it was being pitched at an iron stake behind the bunkhouse.
What are you getting at?
Well, the chances are at least 50-50 that Paul Morton's death was no accident. It was murder.
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, perfect musical settings for a Sunday before the 4th will be yours tomorrow afternoon. The Symphonette, a half hour of fine orchestral music, and the Choral Airs, a half hour of brilliant vocal music, are regular Sunday afternoon features on most of these same CBS network stations. And now with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Dude from Manhattan.
Paul Morton's death, something worse than an accident. Lawson's mouth fell open and the muscles in his face jerked as his eyes moved slowly from me out to the now quiet black stallion in the corral, who somehow or other seemed to sense the death at our feet. Then as the trembling man's lips silently formed the word murder, he gestured for me to help him carry Morton's body out of the stable. After that, he looked at the dead man's broken face once more, said he was going to call the sheriff's office, and hurried away. A minute later, Judy Morton stepped into the small circle of light that surrounded what only a short time ago had been her husband. Except for a thin line of perspiration above her lips, she was no different than when I'd seen her last.
I just passed Buck on my way down here. Told me my husband was dead.
Did he tell you anything else, Judy? About how Paul died, I mean?
No. It was a stallion, wasn't it? An accident?
I doubt it.
Why, Marlowe?
For one thing, this horseshoe, too close to the body.
But this is a stable.
And this a horseshoe that's been used exclusively for pitching at a stake in the ground. Here, look at it. And remember, Cowboy Virgil's favorite sport is horseshoes. Besides, what reason would your husband have for coming down here at this hour in the first place? He wasn't too crazy about horses, you know.
No, but he was about me. Let's move a little away from here, Marlowe.
Cigarette?
No, thanks. I'm not coming apart at the seams because it isn't in me. I hated Paul. Hated him with all my heart, Marlowe. I'm down here only because he pleaded with me, begged me to talk to him once more, to listen to reason.
About what?
About the decision I came to less than an hour ago, which was divorce, unconditionally.
I thought you said you came out here to try to patch things up.
I did. But I also said that we weren't doing a very good job of it. Then, tonight, a little after we left you at the bar, Marlowe, I got my hands on the lever I needed to pry myself loose from that jealous maniac. It was the knowledge, Marlowe, that my late husband was crooked.
Silk business?
Yes. While he was drinking his dinner, I went to one of his suitcases for an aspirin.
Found what instead?
At least 3 dozen samples of the best silks made without any importer's or manufacturer's name. And underneath that, $200,000 in cash. I know enough about the silk business to fill in the blanks, Marlowe.
All of which comes under the heading black market, huh?
Yes. I added what I had found to the fact that this Dude ranch he had insisted on was close to Los Angeles. Close enough for him to run off and conduct his purchasing while I thought he was communing with nature or playing gin with that Mr. Doberman. Then I had him.
You also had a divorce, no strings attached, right?
Exactly. Blackmail to get rid of your own husband. Pretty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, at least with this accident or whatever it is, it's no longer necessary.
No, Judy, only 2 things are necessary. One, the location of Virgil Sawyer, and the other, you in your own cabin where I can ask you some questions later.
Why do you want to ask me questions?
Well, I might be making a big mistake, baby. But it might be that Virgil and you are out for the $200,000. You know, honey, that man in the saddle might like money, too. I'll see you. When I started back for the bunkhouse, the only place I knew of that might give me a lead on the strong, silent horseshoe pitcher, I realized that tagging Paul Morton's death and murder was one thing, proving it was going to be quite another. And when I was there and the place was empty without even signs of a hasty departure, I was sure of it. But not by intuition, as was the gentleman standing in the open doorway watching my every move. Orville Doberman, champion of the wide open spaces, didn't believe that a clean-cut cowboy could be guilty of anything more unrefined than spitting on a pot-bellied stove.
Marlowe, I think you're crazy. Buck told me about your finding that horseshoe next to Morton's body and the conclusion you jumped to from there. You're being very hasty, boy, and that's dangerous, and that's the reason I'm here. I don't believe in necktie parties. A man's got a right to a fair trial.
Hey, hold it. Nobody said anything about lynching your hero.
Huh?
I want to find Sawyer, so that if I'm right, we can save the state the time and trouble of a manhunt. But since you brought it up, Vigilante, don't scramble for conclusions too quickly yourself. I happen to have a little more to go on than the relative position of a horseshoe.
Not that idle gossip that's going around.
The same. At the moment, it figures two ways. Virgil's unhappy enough with the status quo to liquidate the city slicker. Or Virgil and the squaw light out after a clean start the hard way. Choose one.
Nonsense, Marlowe. In either case, and especially the stupid suggestion that the girl and Virgil Sawyer are in cahoots. That I can't believe.
Well, sentimental reasons I can't either. Besides, Judy Morton found out enough about her husband within the last hour to make murder for freedom's sake very unnecessary. She learned he was a crook, Mr. D, if you can stand the disillusionment.
Oh, now, Marlowe.
Yes, and shady dealings in silk. Judy didn't go into details about it, but I gather she found out enough to make him sit up and take notice. And that brings us right back to Virgil, boots, saddles, and all.
Yeah, it does, sort of.
And we'll argue the fine points later. But right now, Mr. Doberman, if you want to make sure that everybody gets a square deal, get close to Judy's cabin and stay there. Sentry duty, your object.
All right.
And if I'm wrong about the cowboy, you've done nothing worse than waste your time. Goodbye. I spent the next 20 minutes talking to cowhands, guests, miscellaneous hired men, any and everybody who might have been able to say he went that away of Virgil Sawyer. With no success. And to make matters worse, when I'd given that up and was on my way back to the lodge to help Lawson wait for the sheriff, I found myself being paged. Western style, of course, by no one else but Mrs. Gary Doberman, the capital D in Dude Ranch.
Howdy.
Howdy, ma'am.
Oh, Mr. Marlowe.
Yeah.
Mr. Marlowe, look at this. Look at what I've found. I've struck it rich, you might say, much like the old rustlers.
The old rustlers, Mrs. Doberman, stole cattle.
Oh?
Yes.
Oh, yes, so they did. I guess I meant those panhandle men. You know, gold is where you find it. Anyhow, look, it's a precious stone. Small, but nevertheless precious.
Mined while digging for worms, no doubt.
Oh, Mr. Marlowe, you're teasing me.
Yes.
You know very well that this is a polished stone. Funny thing, though, is where I found it. Shall I tell you?
Oh, please. Please do, Mrs. Doberman.
Well, I was just unpacking those clothes that Orville had sent up from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Some slacks and things like that. And, well, when I started to hang a pair up, this fell out of one of the cuffs. And it... Now, I wonder how a little old emerald like this ever got there.
Well, it was probably mice, Mrs. Emerald. Let me see that, quick.
Well, yes, of course. But believe me, Mr. Marlowe, it can't be very valuable, I'm sure.
I'm not.
What are you talking about?
Murder, or a reasonable facsimile thereof, and a girl named Judy Morton if I don't hurry. Goodbye, and bless you, Mrs. Doberman. You talk too much, but now was the right time. As I ran for Judy's cabin, I didn't know any more about the whys and wherefores of Paul Morton's death than I had before I made small talk with Mrs. Doberman. But I did know that unless Lady named Luck and I were on the same team, the Rainbow Ranch was due for a second corpse. When I was close enough to the rough oak door, numbered 8, and Orville Doberman, whom I'd asked to stand guard, was nowhere in sight. The full impact of that responsibility sank into where the wingtips on the butterflies in my stomach were scratching at my hip pocket, until I moved in still closer, and there in the light of a single lamp that was halo enough for me, I saw the girl from Manhattan, nervously lighting one cigarette from the end of another, but more important, very much alive. I didn't bother knocking.
Marlowe, what are you doing here?
What am I doing here? Honey, I'm uncrossing fingers and toes alike. You know, they've been that way since I realized that I opened my mouth too wide, too soon, which put you right smack on what used to be known as the spot.
Oh, well, that's the way it happened.
Yeah, that's the way it... Now, look, Judy, baby, you can't know what I mean yet. It's Doberman, honey, the gin player with all the moving vans. He's the one your husband was buying that black market silk from. But I didn't know that until a few minutes ago, which was after I told him where you could be found and that you knew an awful lot.
Oh, it's Mr. Marlowe. He thanks you and warns you not to move.
Yo.
See what I mean, Phil?
Yo, sure, I see. You know, it's funny, Doberman, when I was outside and didn't see you around, did see that Judy here was still in good health, I figured that either you had decided to sit tight until you knew exactly how much she did know, or that you already started to run. Yeah, this I didn't count on.
And this, Marlowe, should point up what I said earlier about your jumping to conclusions. It's dangerous.
Handling hot silk is child's play.
It has been for me for 20 years, Marlowe. For your husband, Mrs. Morton, it was much more. That's why I had to come to you like this. That's why I had to know if his stupidity went so far that even you knew of me.
You shouldn't have bothered Mr. Doberman. I didn't.
No, but you see, Marlowe did. That leaves me even.
Correction, Doberman. Paul Morton's dead. You're out in front.
I didn't kill Morton Marlowe, and neither did Virgil Sawyer. I saw it all, my friend. So I can tell you that the man who killed Paul Morton was Paul Morton himself.
Suicide? Are you out of your mind?
No, not suicide, Mrs. Morton. Merely a plan for murder that backfired. The intended victim was you, his wife.
Oh, no.
Keep talking, Doberman.
Why, Marlowe? I'd rather keep you guessing.
I wouldn't.
Duck, baby!
Oh! My shoulder. Now, the man said keep talking.
I can't. I'm hit.
You'll be again if you don't.
Sawyer, no.
Stay out of this, Marlowe. Come on, Doberman. I'm not going to ask you again. I'm not even going to let you fall until you tell the rest.
Okay. I'll tell you. I overheard Morton ask him, "Some go to your place first, Sawyer, pick up one of your horseshoes," and then he went to the stables near the Black Stallion's stall, the horseshoe in his hat. Sawyer, my shoulder.
Come on, Doberman. You're not finished yet.
I figured that he was going
To knock his wife out, leave Sawyer's horseshoe where it will be found, then half make it look like an accident that would fool nobody, huh? What went wrong, Doberman? Why didn't it work?
Oh, he approached Thunder from the right side instead of the left. The horse got excited, kicked out, and caught him. The dude. Now, let go, Sawyer.
Sure, Doberman. With pleasure.
It was a slow but steady 2 hours of first aid and questions and answers mixed with a San Bernardino deputy sheriff who couldn't quite get over it before Orville Doberman was on his way to a hospital that featured barred windows. Mrs. Doberman, a complete innocent, was on her way back to Los Angeles. And Buck Lawson, Judy, and I were in the bunkhouse, watching Virgil Sawyer watch a pot full of water boil for coffee, ranch style.
Well, you know, you can't ever tell, Marlowe. This whole thing might have just the right effect.
How?
Put the ranch on the map, I mean. After all, it was a genuine 100% cowboy who saved the day for it.
Oh, no, that's not right, Buck. Huh? It was Marlowe here. I only followed him. Coffee's ready, folks.
Oh, that's for me.
Good.
Let's go.
What did make you go up there, Mr. Marlowe?
Oh, little precious stone, Virgil. An emerald that once fell out of Paul Morton's initialed ring.
But, Marlowe, that happened a long time ago, 3-4 months. It was just after Paul had returned to New York from Los Angeles.
Yeah, and negotiations with Doberman. You see, honey, it was Mrs. Doberman, really, who found the missing emerald tonight and a pair of slacks that Orville had sent up here.
Then that was proof that Paul must have been with Doberman in Los Angeles before. Yet they claim to have met for the first time here at the ranch.
Yeah, that's what they claimed. That plus what you told me, Judy, made the man with the moving vans it. And, hey, Virgil, that coffee's hot. But it's good. Well, anyway, since I told Doberman where you were and that you knew your husband had been dealing in black market silks, he took his cue accordingly.
Yes, and fortunately, yours. Well, that makes it 2 people who tried to kill me tonight. My husband and his partner.
Seldom is heard a discouraging word.
Oh, fine.
And the skies are not cloudy all day.
Good night, gentlemen.
Virgil Sawyer made good coffee and lots of it. So another hour went by before we finally broke up, and I was outside smoking a cigarette and strolling toward my cabin in the start of a vacation that already had been postponed too long. But halfway there, I stopped at the sound of raised voices ahead of me. A man and a woman were arguing violently, and a little away from them, on the porch of my cabin, watching the battle of the sexes with consternation while he waited for me, was Buck Lawson, mine host. I turned quickly and hurried back to the bunkhouse where I knew Virgil Sawyer would put me up for the night. Where I knew that early the next morning, I could sneak off, find a quiet, cool stream, and fish. A coyote high in the hills someplace said I had the right idea.
Adventures of Philip Marlowe, bringing you Raymond Chandler's most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy, star Gerald Moore, and are produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Mel Donnelly, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Charlotte Lawrence, Bill Johnstone, Bill Lally, Herb Butterfield, D.J. Thompson, Lou Krugman, and Jack Carrington. The special music is written by Richard O'Runt. Be sure and be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
I went from a mansion in Bel Air to a cheap flat in Southgate, looking for a girl with a secret, who a man in a pork pie hat, a wise-cracking secretary, and a fat corpse didn't want me to find. But who I found anyway, because of the quiet number.
Three highly individual, highly entertaining mystery adventure shows stand high among the top shows on CBS every Sunday. The Green Llama, Call the Police, Sam Spade. Go adventuring with them every Sunday when they come to you over most of these same CBS stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking. Now, stay tuned for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same CBS network stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
It's 8 o'clock. Welcome to Van Cristo Radio Theater.
Gangbusters, presented in cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States. The only national program that brings you authentic police case histories. Tonight, Gangbusters presents the case of the New Jersey trio, whose nocturnal audacity netted them a fortune, until one misstep before dark shed light on a dozen 50-cent pieces.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Benny.
Do your youngsters ever ask you, what did you do before television was invented? Now, sometimes it's hard to answer that question in a way that they'll understand. Of course, we read. And we played out in the fresh air a lot more, or at least that's what we tell the kids. But maybe there's another answer. Ask them to come in now and listen to these wonderful bits of imaginative trivia. Did I hear one of the kids mention our old friend, the Lone Ranger? He was there and held us just as captivated as television's version. The Lone Ranger!
With the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo silver. The Lone Ranger.
Return to those golden days of yesteryear with Jack Benny as your narrative guide whenever you want, with your own copy of Great Moments in Radio. It's now just $4.95 from Van Cristo Radio Theater. Send your check or money order to Great Moments in Radio, Van Cristo Radio Theater, 18 Newbury Street, Boston, 02116. Your purchase not only brings you this intriguing, living record of radio history, but helps to keep Van Cristo Radio Theater on the air. Your check or money order for $4.95 to Great Moments in Radio, Van Cristo Radio Theater, 18 Newbury Street, Boston, 02116. Order today.
Gangbusters has asked the Honorable John B. Keenan, Commissioner of Public Safety of the City of Newark, New Jersey, to narrate by proxy tonight's case. Commissioner Keenan.
Thank you, and good evening, Gangbusters listeners. Suppose we begin tonight's case in the city of Newark, New Jersey, just a little over a year ago. It was 7:30 on a bright sunny morning when a big hulk of a man stepped as lightly as he could toward the door of his attic flat on Milford Avenue. He stopped when he reached it, listened for a moment, then took out his keys.
Mary Jo. Mary Jo.
Get out of here.
Hey, now, sweetheart, baby.
I told you to get out of here. The next one's going to hit you.
Baby, doll, now don't get your feathers up.
Leaving me sitting in a bar all night alone, practically, waiting for you to show up. I ought to scratch your eyes out.
I was working, baby.
I don't care what you were doing. You were supposed to meet me. I've never so embarrassed in all my life.
Baby, doll, it was a last-minute deal. We were sitting around, and Yak says, come on, fellas, I got just the thing for tonight.
Yak says this, Yak says that. Yakety, yakety, yakety.
Honest, Mary Jo, that's just the way it was. I couldn't get near a phone.
They got phones and airplanes nowadays, and you got nerve enough to tell me on dry land you can't get near a phone.
Baby, doll, look, how much dough did I have last night? $50, $100? Tops, $100. Well, look at this. Does this look like $100?
Blue, honey. Blue, that's a fortune.
You see? Didn't I tell you I was working? Where would I get all this scratch if I wasn't working?
Okay, I believe you. Come on, give.
Oh, Mary Jo.
Give, Blue.
Baby doll, a man's got to have money in his pocket.
Give.
Yeah, give. All I do around here is give. Here. But I had 100 to start, at least 100.
20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 100. There's your 100.
Thanks. I work all night, and what do I get for nothing?
I'm putting it away for a rainy day. You sure Yak gave you all that was coming to you?
What's the matter? Ain't that enough for you?
I don't trust that Yak, you know. And you're just stupid enough he could give you a short count.
Listen, Tony and me were right there when it was counted out. And who's stupid?
You are. You got a strong back, but a gimpy head. I'll bet you were looking out the window when Tony took the money out of the safe.
I was not. There wasn't no windows. The place was air-conditioned.
Yak and Tony are a couple of slick operators, Blue. You gotta watch them.
Now, listen, nobody can put anything over on me. Now, look, baby doll, it was some job getting that safe open. I'm starved. Have you got a little breakfast laying around?
I have not.
Oh, baby doll.
You got your clothes on? Run down to the diner.
Look, make breakfast, and I got a present for you.
Yeah? What kind of a present?
Will you make breakfast?
Let's see the present.
All right. Here, I got 12 of them.
What's that? Counterfeit?
It is not. That's a good American $50.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Sounds okay.
Only Yak says they're worth $5 apiece.
Oh, who'd be crazy enough to give $5 for a 50-cent piece?
Yak says they're collector's items from the Columbus expedition. They didn't make very many of them, so they're worth $5 apiece. There was 36 of them in the safe. We each got 12.
All right. Let's have.
Will you make breakfast?
Let's have, Blue.
Yeah. Hey, baby doll. Tony says he's going to keep his good luck charms, he said.
Good luck charms? Oh, 50-cent piece is worth $5. That's a twist.
Well, maybe it's inflation or something.
Maybe. All right. Come on in the kitchen.
Thanks, baby doll. I'm starved. Really starved.
Lieutenant Flynn, Bandit Squad.
Hello, Lieutenant. Sergeant O'Byrne.
What did it look like, Tom?
Like a safe job ought to look. They pushed in a back door, went upstairs to the office, knocked the combination off the safe, jimmied it open, and got at the cash.
Uh-huh.
It was a pretty hefty box, Lieutenant. Must have taken him a good part of the night.
How much was in it?
Well, I haven't figured it up exactly yet. Somewhere around $1,400, $1,500.
All they took was the cash, huh?
Yep, all cash, Lieutenant. But there's one item of cash that might help us.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Well, the office manager collects coins. He brought 36, Columbian Exposition commemorative $50 to the office the other day. Somebody wanted to buy them, so he stuck them in the safe. Well, they're missing with the rest of the cash.
Now, those $50 are a pretty rare item?
Rare enough, he says, especially 36 of them in one lot.
Yeah. That might help, Tom.
And the office manager's got a list of collectors and dealers and that sort of stuff.
Good. Bring it in. We'll get in touch with all those dealers and ask them to be on the lookout for a flock of those $50.
Now, listen, Yak, I can't ride around all night. I got to meet Mary Jo.
What are you worried about, Blue? Let her wait.
Let her wait. You don't know Mary Jo. Tell him, Tony. Tell him how she is. What's the matter, Blue? You're big enough to handle that twist. Mary Jo, she gets sore. You apologize. You give her a kick in the face. Guy's got no sympathy.
There it is, across the street.
You mean the restaurant?
Yeah. The office is on the second floor.
Uh-huh.
My information is every night 2 big sacks of dough go upstairs and into the safe.
Yeah?
They take them to the bank in the morning.
Are you sure they ain't got no burglar alarm?
I'm positive.
Yeah? What makes you so positive, Yank?
Well, they figure they don't need it.
What do they figure? They're immune or something?
Why spend the dough for protection when there's a police station just down the block?
Yeah, but how do we get... Police station? Where?
Look down the street.
Now, wait a minute, Jack. Don't you think the joint's just a little risky? Police station, it ain't 50 yards from the place.
And there's cops coming and going all night.
That safe is loaded.
Maybe so. But I want to know, can we make it?
I don't think we can make it. Not with the police station so close.
Listen, Blue, you just use the muscles, huh? Now, we'll have to work fast and quiet, but I think we'll be okay.
For when?
What's the matter with tonight? After the place closes?
Why not? I got it with me, my good luck charms.
Hey, fellas, not tonight. I promised Mary Jo a good time. She's getting all dressed up.
Have your good time some other night.
Guys.
Listen, Blue, wife or no wife, when we got a deal going, nothing interferes. We work good together. I don't want no outside influences influencing the operation. It's set for tonight. Well, we'll drive around town a while until they get the joint out.
Why do you guys always make me trouble?
We'll stop someplace, Blue. Get the lady on the telephone. Tell her you're going to be busy.
Tell her I'm going to be busy.
Sure, Blue. Why should those two care? Have Jack and Tony got wives waiting someplace for them?
Now, baby doll,
Leaving me sitting and waiting again. Ooh, just wait till I see.
Listen, Mary Jo.
What's it have to be tonight for? There's 7 nights in a week. Why tonight?
Baby doll, Yak wants to do it tonight. Yak says there might be 10 grand in that safe. He thinks there's a good chance.
10 grand?
Yeah, Yak says so, maybe.
Well, Blue, maybe it wasn't such a good idea to go out tonight. I'm kind of sleepy anyway. We can make it tomorrow night.
Oh, that's good, baby doll.
But you be sure and see that those two monkeys don't give you a short count.
They won't.
And bring it all home. Every penny.
Okay, make it fast, Tony. Get in the doorway.
Yeah.
Now, let's get that door open.
I think maybe with the back door it would be safer, Yak.
Safer, maybe, but the front is easier. Go on, make snappy.
Yeah. I don't like working on the sidewalk practically either.
Get it under the line.
I'm doing okay. Let me handle it. Okay, just a few.
Hold it.
What?
Couple of guys.
Cops?
I don't know. Stand close against the wall.
Yeah.
I take my car down here. The guy looked at all the stuff at the bottom under the hood. He examined the upholstery, and I asked him, wait a minute. Have you got a light? And I asked him how much will he give me in a trade. Thanks. So? Oh, he says 1,100. 1,100, I can back it. You know what the fuck is in this town? I can't let go for that.
Didn't I tell you those $50, they was good luck, eh?
Get to work on the door.
You think they were cops?
What difference does it make? They walked by, didn't they? Get it open.
That police station, she's awful close.
You'll be inside if you don't get that door open.
Yeah, there it is.
Good, Tony. Go on, you get upstairs and start to look around. I'll go to the car and get Flo to bring the tool.
Well, Gangbusters listeners, this gang of safe burglars, led by the daring James Yak Denter, had broken into a darkened restaurant not 50 yards from Newark's 2nd Precinct Police Station. Before the night was over, a 500-pound safe gave them the fright of their lives.
Der Zauberlehrling. Hat der alte Hexenmeister sich doch einmal wegbegeben. Und nun sollen seine Geister auch nach...
When you're trying to do business with someone, it pays to speak their language. In fact, it pays so well that smart businessmen make sure their advertising agency talks the language of their customers.
Design guys. They have to be designed. Yes, that's basically what I'm looking for. And then the main problem is exactly how do we reach them? I mean, what will their...
Like if your customers are engineers, then you speak to them in engineering.
The product is good, and we want to know exactly how we're going to be able to market it.
Now, you started customizing first in Seattle.
That's correct.
What was the response demographically?
Or if they're in packaged goods, you speak to them in marketing.
We're talking about those wide-angle shots, right up from the heel, tight on the bell.
Once the shirts, you know, the layouts that we had last week, baby.
Let me get them.
If they're hip, you hit them back. In spades. At Van Christo Associates, We know the languages of doing business. We know who to talk to, how to reach them, what to tell them, and how to say it to sell it. Van Christo Associates, Advertising, Boston.
And now back to Gangbusters. And here again is tonight's narrator, Commissioner John B. Keenan.
Well, this gang of burglars found that breaking into a restaurant not 50 yards from a Newark, New Jersey police station was not so difficult as opening the safe upstairs on the second floor. They had been at it for nearly 2 hours and were still working hard.
All right, Bloom. Tony's got it set in there. Lay on it with the sledge again.
Okay. Again.
Brother.
Hold it just a second.
Well, Tony, what do you say?
It don't budge, Yak.
Listen, Yak, maybe we ought to give it up. We're making plenty of noise here for 2 hours and with the cops right next door, practically.
How about it, Tony? Can you get it open or can't you?
With these tools? No.
I think we better get out of here.
That's a good idea, Yak.
We'll get out, but we'll take the safe with us.
Take it with us?
Sure, why not?
Oh, no, not me.
What's the matter? This thing should only weigh about 500 pounds. We carry out bigger boxes than this.
Yeah, but not down a flight of stairs like that. And not with the police department for neighbors.
I'm not passing up this kind of dough. We'll take the safe out with us. Tony, go turn the car around. Pull it up in front of the door downstairs.
Okay, Yak, right away.
Well, thank goodness this thing's on rollers anyway. That makes it a little easier. Come on, Blue, let's push it.
Yeah. Let me ask you something, Yak.
Yeah.
How are we going to get it down all those stairs?
We'll get it down.
Yeah? And the cops. Suppose some of them will walk into the station house or drive.
We'll be all right. Okay, hold it here. Now, let me figure this out.
You know, that's an awful big thing to get down those stairs, Yak.
Yeah, I know. We can't carry it down at the cinch.
Do you really think there's that much dough in there?
Yeah. What are you going to do with yours? Yeah, step at a time, I guess.
Oh, I don't know. Give it to Mary Jo, I guess.
You're kidding. Not all of it.
Yeah, she saves it for a rainy day, she says. She takes every penny. But listen, we ain't got all night. How are we going to get that safe downstairs?
I'll push it from the back. You support it.
I support it.
We'll let the wheels and back rest on each step, see?
Yeah.
You hold the front of it. I'll get front of it.
Okay. Push. I got a hold.
All right. Okay?
Yeah, but I don't know how long it'll be okay.
What are you worried? We only got 20 steps to go. Get set.
Okay, push.
All right.
I can't hold it. Don't let it fall. Grab it. Help me.
Okay, don't get excited. Hold on.
I can't. Holy jump. Right out the front door.
Come on, Pat.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
At least we got that thing downstairs.
We'll be here fast. It's sitting right out in the middle of the sidewalk.
Step right through the door, but watch your fire.
Yeah, I'm watching. Come on, Philip, hurry. Get in the car. Let's get out of here.
The safe goes with us.
Yeah.
No problem. He lands on the wheels.
Push it. Go on.
Let's go. Let's go.
Over the back, Tony.
Yeah.
All right. Three of us together. Let's run.
Right. Up. Come on. No good.
Tony, get the car and pull one with us.
Yeah, sure. Okay, come on.
All right. Lay on it, Blue.
All right. Come on, guys. Come on. Push him. That's it. A little more. Okay.
Let's go.
Here comes a couple of cops, I think. Walking.
Come on, get in.
Oh, three of those cops.
They're walking up on us, Jack.
Oh, brother.
What's the matter?
They're coming, Yak. They're coming. Get it started. Now, come on. Oh, wow.
Oh, Lieutenant. Hey, Tom. The bookkeeper upstairs just finished a preliminary count on what was in the safe.
How much?
A little over 6,000.
What a haul.
Yep. Not bad for a night's work.
Any sign of fingerprints up there?
No, not a thing. Nothing except the tools.
They won't help us much. The safe must have been down those stairs with some force. That's how it knocked the door frame clean out.
Yeah. Must have sounded like an earthquake.
That's going to give us a little trouble, Tom.
I know the papers. They're going to play up how close this thing was to the precinct house.
These guys just had a lucky break. I bet there's a squad car or a couple of patrolmen pass this store on foot every 5 minutes all night long.
That's not going to be any answer. The only answer will be to get them. Come on upstairs. I want another look at those tools they left.
Who is it? Blue?
No, it's Jack. Open up.
All right. Hello.
Where's Blow, Mary Jo?
Out someplace.
That's too bad, isn't it?
It's not so bad.
No?
Sit down, Yak, and wait.
Why not?
Do you want something to drink?
Yeah. It's not a bad idea.
What?
We got a glass of milk?
Milk?
Yeah.
Oh, now you're kidding. I got rye, gin, beer.
I like milk.
Okay. You like milk?
Wait a minute. I'll go to the kitchen with you. What time did Blue say he'd be back?
He didn't say.
Oh, here. Let me.
Oh, much obliged.
It's all right.
You know, I could wait 4 years for Blue to open the door for me. Well, how do you like that? We have got milk. You sure now?
Positive.
4 years I could wait.
Blue's not very bright, is he?
Well, no. But he's generous.
Yeah, so he tells me. Yeah, it's good and cold.
Blue is a very nice type of man to have around. Everything I want, I get.
I know. He told me he gave you the whole $2,000 from the restaurant deal.
I'm saving it for a rainy day. Most everything he earns, I'm saving for a rainy day.
His rainy day, yours.
I don't understand.
I mean, are you waiting to get all you can from Blue and then fly someplace?
That's an insult.
What do I care what's between you and him?
All right. Yeah. I'm waiting to get all I can. Don't you think I earned it?
Maybe you did, Mary Jo.
I'll say I did. Now, what's the real reason you're here?
To see Blue?
Is that so? Blue told me you sent him downtown for something.
Is that so?
You bet that's so.
You know, you're a pretty cute kid.
Do you really think so?
I said so, didn't I?
You want some more milk?
No. No, thanks. I know my limit. Oh, before I forget it, when Blue gets back, tell him we got a little deal on tonight. Tell him to meet Tony and me at the usual place. Call from the booth there, Mary Jo.
Thanks. Oh, I could kill him. Murder him. But murder him. What is it, Blue?
Listen, Mary Jo.
Don't you know this is Saturday night and I'm in a tavern trying to have a good time because you don't have the decency to take your own wife out like a gentleman?
But, Mary
So
Jo...
what's the idea of disturbing me?
Now, listen, baby doll. We were out on a job. Tony stuck his hand through a window in the alley trying to get in the supermarket. He cut himself pretty bad.
So, what do you want me to do about it? Take him to a doctor.
Well, Yak says he can't go to a doctor. Yak wants you to fix Tony up.
Oh. Oh, he does, huh?
Yeah, baby doll. Will you, please?
All right. Bring him to the flat. I'll meet you there.
Oh, Mary Jo, that's great. I'll never forget.
Okay, bring him to the flat before he dies.
Get me one more drink, will you, Blue?
Hold still there, Tony. How do you expect me to get you bandaged up if you're squirming? Tell him to hold still, Yak.
Okay, I hold still. It don't look as bad as I thought, Tony.
Don't look good to me.
What do you know?
I wouldn't have cut myself this way except my good luck charms. I lose them someplace.
Those $5 half dollars, huh? Well, there you are. As good as new.
Now, could I have one more drink?
Yeah, if...
I'll get it. I could use one myself. Anybody else?
I'll go with you. Have a glass of milk.
Sure, Yak. We're loaded with milk. Help yourself.
Thanks. Say, Mary Jo.
Yeah?
You think you can get away from Blue for a while tomorrow afternoon?
I don't know. Why?
Oh, no reason. I just thought you'd like to do a little Sunday driving with me.
Why, Yak, I love it.
Okay. Pick you up that little climb.
Lieutenant Flynn.
Hello, Lieutenant. Sergeant Tom O'Byrne.
Yeah, Tom?
Listen, maybe we got a break. The 3rd Precinct desk sergeant just called me. A kid walked into the station house with 12 of those Columbia Exposition $50.
Where'd he get them?
Well, he was on his way to Sunday school and found them in an alley behind a supermarket out there. They were all in a little chamois bag.
Behind a supermarket?
That's what the kid said.
Was the supermarket broken into last night?
Oh, we got no report of it, Lieutenant. They're not open today.
Well, meet me down at the garage. We'll run out there and take a look around. Right now.
Okay, Mary Jo. We can get rolling again.
Well, this has certainly been a fine Sunday afternoon ride. I thought you were going to take me out in the country for dinner or someplace.
I like to ride around in town, Mary Jo.
And what was the idea of stopping here and getting out for a walk around the grocery store and leaving me sit in the car?
I had to look at something in back of the supermarket.
What kind of a good time do you call that? And all the trouble I went through to get away from Blue.
I'll tell you what, Mary Jo. I'll take it back to him right now.
Oh, now you're going to do me a favor.
No. I'm going to do Blue a favor.
Well, this supermarket won't be no trouble now. We did most of the work last night.
Yeah, Tony, and I found something of yours right under the window here this afternoon. Yeah.
My lucky charms. I must have dropped them last night.
Come on, guys, let's get inside. What are we standing here talking?
Okay. Here you go up, Tony. Post them up, Blue.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you get through?
Yeah, I succeed. Okay.
We'll go around front. Open the door for us. Come on, Blue.
Yeah. You sure are smart, Yak. Riding by here this afternoon with Mary Jo and taking a look.
The neighborhood's empty on Sunday. There's a good chance nobody even found what we did last night, so I thought I'd say.
Yeah, that is smart. I thought all that work last night was down the drain.
Nothing's ever down the drain with me, Blue. And, I want to give you a piece of advice.
Yeah? What?
I've been learning a few things about Mary Jo.
Yeah? Ain't she a sweet kid? Huh?
Like I said, we're a good combination. I don't want anything to happen to her.
Oh, nothing will.
Get all your dough back from Mary Jo, then throw her out.
Throw her out? But, Yak...
She's fixing to leave you, so you might as well beat it to the draw. All right, Tony. Come on.
Listen, Yak, what are you talking
Just do what I tell you.
Yeah, but
Go on, get in.
Welcome, gentlemen. All right, get him up, both of you.
No, not me. You don't.
He's got a gun.
Okay, here it is. Here's the gun. Don't shoot.
The next one will be right at you. Now, all of you, keep them up.
Okay, I'm through, believe me.
You're through, all right. Now, go on. Get over against that wall with your partner, both of you.
Go on. Move.
Against the wall. Go on.
Well, Gangbusters listeners, Newark detectives, after discovering evidence of an attempted burglary, reasoned the safecrackers might return to finish the job. So they planted the Colombian $50 where they were left and waited for the burglars to show up again. James Yak Denta received a maximum sentence of 28 years, and Tony Palumbo 21 years in New Jersey State Prison. Their accomplices received lesser terms.
Thank you, Commissioner John B. Keenan, for this most interesting case history. And Gangbusters, congratulations to all the officers of the Newark Police Department who participated in the investigation leading to the arrests and convictions.
Well, it's time for our Radio Buff contest of the week now. We're going to ask you a question about old-time radio, and if you have the answer, you just send in your answer to Radio Buff, Van Cristo Radio Theater, 18 Newbury Street, Boston, 02116. Last week's question concerned the theme of a program concerning a United States woman senator who had succeeded her husband, believed lost in the war. The theme was, of course, Claire de Lune, and our winner, drawn from all correct entries, Mr. Alan Teed of Salem Street in Rockland, Massachusetts. Mr. Teed will soon be receiving his copy of Orson Welles' production of The War of the Worlds. Now, for your chance to win a copy of this famed production, listen closely. A daily adventure series about newlyweds ran into trouble when they had a radio child who proved unpopular. A heartrending death sequence wrote the child out of the series. Edith Davis and Les Tremaine played the couple, and this music was the theme of the program. Will you please tell us the name of this music? Can you identify that theme? If you can, mail your answer before this Tuesday midnight to Radio Buff, Van Cristo Radio Theater, 18 Newbury Street, Boston 02116. One winner will be drawn from all correct entries. The judge's decision is final, so mail your answer now. Tell us the name of that theme. Mail it to Radio Buck, Van Cristo Radio Theater, 18 Newbury Street, Boston 02116.
Tonight's case was dramatized by Stanley Nurse and directed by William Sweets, with Ann Thomas and Ralph Bell in leading roles. Roger Foster speaking. Gangbusters is a Phillips H. Lord production.
And it comes to you every Sunday night at 8 o'clock on the Van Cristo Radio Theater on WCRB.
Proudly we hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail Lieutenant Fay Adams, United States Army. Entitled Army Doctor. This is the story of the first woman doctor ever to be awarded a commission in the regular Army. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first...
If you are a registered nurse, there are outstanding opportunities for you in the Army Nurse Corps. Here is a nursing career with a future, offering opportunities for world travel, specialized training, and a good salary. You will begin as a commissioned officer, enjoying the same prestige, pay, and benefits as the male officers. You'll work with the best of equipment, have opportunities to develop your professional skills. In addition, you will enjoy a 30-day vacation each year with pay. Most important of all, you'll be doing your country a vital service. Ask now. Find out if you are qualified to serve as an Army nurse. Write to the Surgeon General, U.S. Army Nurse Corps, Washington 25, D.C. Write today. Your country needs you.
And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly we hail production, Army Doctor. On March 11 of this year in Washington, D.C., an historic event took place when First Lieutenant Fay Margaret Adams was sworn in as the first woman physician ever to hold a commission in the United States Regular Army. Behind the brief newspaper clipping which announced this event lies a story that began in a child's questioning mind and was to grow from question to understanding to determination.
Come along, sir.
Okay. Daddy.
Yes?
When will Mommy get to come home from the hospital?
Oh, in a couple of weeks, maybe, if all goes well. I think in a couple of weeks.
Will it be for good this time?
Well, I hope so.
But you always say that.
Well, I always hope it.
Why can't the doctor make her well?
Well, he's trying, honey. He's helped Mother a great deal, but...
But what, Daddy?
Well, Fay, it's a little hard to explain. See, Mommy's heart isn't very strong. And every once in a while she has to go to the hospital so she can rest, so the doctor can treat her.
Well, then he ought to make her well.
Maybe he will this time.
I wish I was a doctor.
Yeah, so do I sometimes.
I suppose I have to grow up first. You have to grow up first to do anything. But I wish it didn't take so long.
Well, it gives you a long time to think about it. Meantime, let's think about catching a bus for home, all right?
All right.
Okay, come along.
Yes, Daddy.
When you're 10 years old, you can wish to be a lot of things. A doctor, a fireman, a movie actress, the president of a bank. One day it's one thing, and the next day it's another with most children. Something made you want to be a fireman, and then that something is forgotten. and you look for an idol somewhere else. But in the case of Faye Adams, there was no chance of the something that made her want to be a doctor to be forgotten. Faye's mother suffered from a rheumatic heart. From the time that Faye was 7 until she was 17, her mother was hospitalized frequently, and the doctor came so regularly to the house that he was almost like a member of the family. A childish curiosity about a mother's heart, about people being sick, and why couldn't the doctor make her mother well, grew gradually into an understanding and a desire.
I'll stop by again in the morning. If she isn't any better, then I think we ought to put her back in the hospital. It'll be easier all the way around for everybody. Whatever you think best, Doctor.
Dad,
Okay. Don't you think you ought to be in bed?
I was waiting for you. Dr. Henry's mother any better?
A little. Not as much as I'd like to see, but she's resting comfortably.
Will she ever get really well?
We hope so, Faye. That's what we're working toward. We're doing all we can. Oh, get my coat for me, will you, Faye, while I wash up? That's the girl.
Dad?
Oh, yes, honey. What is it?
Dad, will I get to go to college next year?
Why, I don't know first. You want to?
Yes, very much.
Why do you want to?
Because I decided it a long time ago. I want to be a doctor.
Well, there ought to be a way of working it out, I think.
Oh, Dad, I was hoping you'd say that. I'm so glad.
Now, wait a minute, Faye. It isn't just as easy as all that. There's the question of money, you know.
I think I can get a scholarship, but scholarships only pay tuition. I'd have to pay my own room and board. That's why I asked you if you thought I could go.
Well, now, I'll tell you what, honey. You look into this scholarship business and find out how much it's going to cost for room and board, and then we'll talk some more about it. And I think maybe we'll be able to swing it if you can get your tuition paid for.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, Dr. Henry, I have your coat here.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Faye. Well, I gave your father a new prescription to have filled. You'll see to it that your mother takes it along with the other medicine.
Yes, of course.
Well, that's fine. You're a good nurse, Faye. You've been a big help to us all.
Dr. Henry, I was just talking to Dad about going to college next fall.
Well, you're planning to go. That's fine, Faye.
I want to be a doctor. Do you think I can?
A doctor? Well, I don't see why not. If you're willing to work hard, it's hard work being a doctor, Faye.
I know, but I think it's worth it. I've watched you and the other doctors with Mother for so long. A long time ago, I decided that if I could spend my life helping sick people get well, I'd be very happy. I guess that sounded a little high-flown, but I didn't mean it to.
No, it didn't sound high-flown, Faye. You have to have the desire to cure sickness, to see you through the long years of study, the long years after that. When I was a boy, I said just about what you said. I wanted to make sick people well. That's what doctors did, so I wanted to be a doctor. I still have that same desire. It's that desire that sees you through the long days, the long nights, the discouragements, the heartbreak, the feeling of inadequacy that hits you time and time again. Good luck, Faye. You go to school and work hard and make your goal a goal to win.
In the fall of 1936, Faye Adams entered the University of California as a pre-med student. By the year 1936, the idea of a woman becoming a doctor was not such a radical idea as it had seemed the generation before, but that doesn't mean that it was universally accepted.
Oh, come on, Faye. Take some time off for a change.
Johnny, I can't. I've been taking way too much time off as it is. I told you I had an exam tomorrow, and it's going to be a tough one.
All you think about are good grades. You're a grind.
All right, I'm a grind. I have to get good grades to get into medical school.
I can't understand why any girl would want to be a doctor. Why don't you settle for marrying me and raising 5 or 6 nice, noisy children?
Because I don't want to. I want to be a doctor.
All right, so be a doctor. That doesn't say you can't knock off tonight and go to a movie.
But I already told you I can't. I've got to study for that exam.
Okay. That's the way you want it. But I guess you'd better count me out from now on, then.
Why, Johnny, I already have. A long time ago.
So Faye Adams pursued her studies and aimed for a goal and prayed that there'd be enough money to somehow see her attain that goal. And didn't fully realize that there were now forces in the world at work which were going to affect both her and the goal she had set. The year that Faye Adams graduated from her pre-medical course at college was the year 1940. A large part of the free world was at war defending its freedom. America was watching and waiting uneasily for the time and the place to come that would find us defending our freedom, too. But the war hadn't really touched us yet. The problems of the rest of the world had not yet become our problem in the fullest sense. And to Faye Adams, who wanted to be a doctor, who had dreamed of it and planned for it and worked and studied for it, there was a final, important question to be answered. A question more important to her right then than the problems of the world across the sea.
Oh, here's the letter that came for you, Faye.
Oh, thanks, Dad. Oh, it's the letter I've been waiting for. Dad, do you suppose... No. No such luck. Well, that ends that.
Why, what is it, Daddy?
We're sorry to inform you that there are no scholarships available for women for this next term. If you care to apply for entry, we will be happy to consider your application. Very truly yours. Sure, I'll be very happy to apply. But on what?
Oh, Faye, I'm sorry.
Oh, Daddy, it's not your fault. After all, I can't expect you to be able to put out several $1,000s for medical school just like that. It's just that I've worked so hard for it. I've wanted it so much. I've got the grades it takes. Besides, I guess I'm just not a very good sport.
Oh, there, honey. Now, don't cry. Something will come along. It'll work out. Maybe you can get a job for a while.
And then, when I've saved up enough money, by the time I'm 50 and have forgotten everything I ever learned, then I can go to med school. I'm sorry, Dad. Just leave me alone for a while. It's all right when I get used to it.
On December 7, 1941, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. On the following day, we declared war on Japan and subsequently on Germany as well. Our young men were drafted into the armed services. But too many of them were forced to do work far behind the lines, work that had to be done, but for which we could not spare the manpower. Now the question of allowing women to enlist in an auxiliary service to the Army and Navy was raised. Congress passed the necessary law, and the first of these organizations, the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, was formed. To many young women, enlistment in the WAC offered the opportunity to perform a vital and patriotic service to their country in time of war.
Say, what is the matter with you? No, nothing, Shirley. I'm all right. Oh, come on. It must be something. I think I'm going to resign from the camp. Resign from the camp? Why? Oh, I don't know. The kitty's been getting under your skin? No, it isn't that. It just doesn't seem very important somehow. Oh. Well, what are you going to do? I think I'll join the WAC. That way I can do something to help out in the war. For heaven's sake, how do you like that? What's the matter? Something wrong about it? Nothing at all. Why are you laughing? Because I was just about ready to do exactly the same thing myself. That's what I was starting to tell you. But you weren't listening. Well, come on then. Let's get going.
Faye Adams enlisted in the WAC in 1943 and was sent for her basic training to Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia. After completing basic training, she was to be assigned to a job.
Hey, your assignments are out. Did you get yours? Yes, I was waiting for you to come in, Shirley. Well, where are you going? To the Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland. I'm to be a technician in the ballistics research laboratory. I guess that's on account of all the physics and chemistry I had in college. I'm glad it's at least related to what I wanted to do. You still want to go to med school? Still. Can't forget in a couple of weeks what you spent practically your whole life aiming for. But you didn't tell me where you're going, Shirley. Washington, to the Pentagon. Well, that's close by. Maybe we'll be able to get together sometime. We sure will. Babe, are you glad you did it? Did what? Join the work? Yes. It's the best thing that's happened to me in the last 3 years.
Private Adams.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed the paper that you presented to us.
Why, thank you, Dr. Wood.
It was an excellent piece of work and very nicely presented, which is more than I can say for a great many scientific papers I've heard given. Most of them induce as much sleep as they do facts.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I certainly did. Are you making a career of chemistry, Private Adams?
Well, no, sir, not exactly. I was a pre-medical student in college, and then I wasn't able to go ahead with medical school. I still hope to someday.
I see. But doesn't the Army offer medical training? Couldn't you go ahead with it in the service?
It's not available for women right now, but they do give training in physical therapy. I've applied for that as, well, it's the next best thing.
Well, I hope you get what you want.
Thank you, sir. I do enjoy the work at the ballistics research lab, but, well, I guess what it comes down to is that I'd rather work with patients than with chemicals.
Which, when you come right down to it, is the way a prospective doctor ought to feel. Well, good luck, my dear, and goodbye. You are listening to the proudly rehailed production Army Doctor. We'll return in just a moment for the second act.
Here's a message to young women with college degrees in physical education, biological sciences. You may be eligible for a commission as a physical therapist in the Women's Medical Specialist Corps. Receive all the benefits of a second lieutenant while you attend the Army Special Physical Therapy course. Write the Surgeon General, Department of the Army, Washington 25, D.C.
You are listening to Proudly Rehail, and now we present the second act of Army Doctor. For the paper she had presented to the group of visiting scientists, and for additional work that she had done at the Ballistics Research Laboratory, Private Faye Adams was given the Army Commendation Ribbon. In October 1944, her application for physical therapy training was accepted, and she was sent to Lawson General Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. In June 1945, because of her special training, Faye Adams was commissioned a second lieutenant, and after 6 months of working in Lawson General Hospital, she was sent to the Pacific area. Her assignment was to one of the station hospitals in Okinawa, where she was placed in charge of the physical therapy department.
Come in. Major Harris, Lieutenant Adams reporting for duty, sir.
Well, Lieutenant Adams, come in. I've been expecting you. When did you arrive?
This morning.
Have you been assigned to quarters yet?
Yes, sir. Everything's taken care of.
And you're all set to go to work?
Yes.
Well, that's fine. I might as well tell you, Lieutenant Adams, that you've come to me with a very fine recommendation indeed. We're very happy to have you with us.
Thank you, sir. I'm looking forward to it.
Good. As you probably know, we have a good many patients here at the hospital, cases that we haven't been able to send back to the States yet. Now, your job is to help them get along to the point where they can go home, which I may add is what they themselves want to do more than anything else.
I should think so.
If you're ready to go to work,
I'm ready.
Then come along. I'll show you the ward. Take you on a quick tour place. Now, the cases you'll be working on are mostly in this ward. We'll just go in, have a quick look around. Go right in, Lieutenant Adams.
Major Harris wanted in surgery.
Oh, yes, I was expecting that call. Will you excuse me, Lieutenant? I'll be back with you in a few minutes.
Of course, Major Harris.
Have a look around. I'll be back in a few minutes. Hey! Hey, Adams, over here.
Hey. Well, that's the last I can see in this place.
Johnny, I had no idea you were even in the world.
That's no wonder we broke off communication, remember?
Yes, I remember.
Well, so you finally made it. And I never thought you'd really go through with it. How do you like being a doc?
I'm not a doctor, Johnny. I didn't get to go to med school.
But I thought... Well, what are you, a nurse?
No, I'm a physical therapist. The nearest thing I could get to being a doctor in the Army.
Well, this is certainly a new wrinkle.
What about you, Johnny? What have you been doing since we last saw each other?
Oh, nothing special. I got in the Army, and they sent me out here after I got my commission. And then I got into some action, and... Well, this is where I landed. Like you said,
Here I am. That's what happened.
But how are you?
Oh, I'll be up for around any day now. You can't keep an O'Connor down for long, you know. Of course, it might take a little help from you, Doc.
Johnny, don't say that. I told you I'm not doctor.
But you will be. As long as you've come this far, you'll keep going. With the GI Bill, after you finish up here, you can go back and to med school for free from the government.
That's right. I've thought a lot about it. You know what I'm going to do?
Marry me?
No. Make you my number one patient.
And that's something I never thought I'd be.
You see, Johnny? You never can tell how something's going to turn out until it does.
Faye Adams served for 14 months in the Pacific area as a physical therapist. She'd arrived there in December 1945, 4 months after the end of the war. But though the world was at peace, the business of national defense was going on. And current legislation was pointed toward permanent integration of all of the women's services of the Army. For many years, women had been able to choose business and professional careers. Now, still another outlet was opened up to them, the career of national defense. It was a career that seriously interested Lieutenant Faye Adams.
Come in.
Did you send for me, Major Harris?
Yes, Faye. Come in, come in. I have some papers here that I thought might just possibly interest you.
Transfer.
A transfer back to the States, then separation from the Army.
Well, it'll be nice to get home and see everybody again, but...
Oh, but what?
I like the work. I like being in the Army.
You could be proud of your service, Faye.
Thank you, Major.
Do you have any idea of what you're going to do when you get out?
I know exactly what I'm going to do, if I can.
Return to active duty.
No, not just yet. I'm going to do something that I wanted to do 7 years ago. It's a long time ago now. Something that I wasn't able to do then and couldn't yet if I hadn't been in the Army. I'm going to go on to medical school, if I still remember enough so they'll take me.
Good girl. I was hoping you'd say that. You'll remember enough. Look at all you've been doing here. You'll be way ahead of the rest of the class.
Major Harris, I want you to know how much I appreciate all you've done for me in that line. Letting me go on board rounds and sit in on your conferences and explaining things to me. It's going to be a big help to me.
Well, we were only too glad to help, Faye. How long have you been in the service now altogether?
4 years by the time I get out, probably.
Oh, and the GI Bill will see you all the way through med school.
Yes, and then...
And then what?
Then I think I'll try to get back into the Army as a doctor.
Well, in that case, we'll say goodbye. I'll see you around, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Following her separation from the Army in July 1947, Faye Adams entered the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania to continue her medical studies under the GI Bill. In order to keep up her contact with the Army, she joined the organized reserves and had weekly meetings where she learned of the latest developments in Army medicine. There was time for a little else. Medical school is a full-time job of study with sleep a luxury. And after graduation from medical school, there's the year of internship, a full-time job of work and sleep, a rarity.
Calling Dr. Adams. Calling Dr. Adams. Dr. Adams wanted in maternity.
Hey, Faye. Oh, yes, I hear it. I've gotten to I hear it before I even say it. What time is it anyway? No, 2 a.m., wouldn't you know? Why is it babies always pick the middle of the night to start making their appearance? You'd think they'd have the decency to wait until morning.
Calling Dr. Adams. Calling Dr. Adams. Dr. Adams.
Coming. Calling Dr. Adams. Calling Dr. Adams. I think I'll change my name.
I can remember a time not so many years ago when you longed to hear calling Dr. Adams. Remember?
Oh, go back to sleep, plutocrat.
Calling Dr. Adams.
Mrs. Watkins, I'm Dr. Adams. I'll be taking care of you.
Oh, Doctor, I'm trying to tell you this work. But I'm so terribly frightened.
You mustn't be. Everything will be all right.
The last time I had my little girl, I don't know if I can see her again.
Of course you can. It'll be much easier this time. You'll see.
They say you always forget how bad it was. But I haven't. I wish I could have.
Last time is all over and done with. This time it won't be nearly so bad.
You're not going away. I mean, you'll stay with me through it all.
I'll be right here. Don't worry about anything. Just think of the very nice baby that you'll soon be holding in your arms.
I do feel a little better. Maybe it won't be so bad.
No, of course it won't. And before you know it, it'll be all over. That's what you should think about. Not what has been or what is, but what's going to be. Mrs. Watkins.
Yes, Doctor.
Would you like to hold your son just for a minute?
Oh. A boy? We wanted a boy. Edward, we're going to call him. Isn't that a nice name?
Very nice.
Does Fred know? Did you tell him?
He's waiting down in your room. Now, if you'll let the nurse take the baby.
Oh. Very nice baby, isn't he?
Yes, very nice. And you were a very nice patient. Wasn't so bad now, was it?
No. Dr. Adams.
Yes, Mrs. Watkins.
I want to tell you.
You saw the medal that I wear around my neck.
Yes. It's a miraculous medal. When I was so frightened before, I prayed. I prayed for a miracle. And the miracle was you.
No, not me. Your faith is my faith, and the help we gave each other.
When she completed her internship, Faye Adams volunteered for a year of active duty as a reserve medical officer, and a few months later made application for a commission in the regular Army. An application made possible by legislation enacted by the 82nd Congress, authorizing the regular Army commission. On March 11, 1953, a commission was granted.
I, Faye Margaret Adams, having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States in the grade of first lieutenant, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance. I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God.
And thus Lieutenant Faye Adams became the first member in the Army of the United States. It was an event conceived in the belief that women are equal to men in capability and service. It was an event foreshadowed in 2 world wars that freedom cannot survive unless it is continually defended, and that the defenders of America's freedom be cared for by the best in medicine and medical personnel. It was also an event fulfilled by the dreams, the struggle, and the achievement of one woman. This has been, in essence, her story, but it could be the story of any woman, and it will soon be the story of many women.
With the rapid expansion of the United States Army, more nurses are needed. If you are a registered nurse, volunteer for service with the Army Nurse Corps. There are assignments in this country and overseas. Only qualified graduates can fill them. Visit the Surgeon General, United States Army, Washington 25 D.C. Do it now.
This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Center for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Hart speaking, and inviting you to tune in the same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. Now suppose we begin by calling on Mr. Holmes' biographer and friend, the genial Dr. Watson. We find him in his comfortable firelit study, leaning back in his easy chair, ready to begin his story. The fire feels good tonight, doesn't it, Dr. Watson?
Indeed it does, but sit down, Mr. Bell. Sit down and let's get on with the story.
You are in a hurry, aren't you?
Well, I suppose I am. As a matter of fact, the adventure I'm going to relate was one of the most gruesome experiences I ever hoped to encounter. Perhaps I'd better not tell it after all. It brings up memories
come now, Dr. Watson. You're not going back on us now. You promised last week to tell us, what was the name of the story?
The Adventure of the Devil's Foot, or the Cornish Horror. The very thought of it makes my blood run cold.
I can hardly wait, Dr. Watson. But first, men, I'd like to remind you about this famous modern trend in hair grooming, which is preferred among top-flight executives and America's most successful men. It's called Kreml Hair Tonic. One of the many reasons Kreml has become such a nationwide favorite is that it never plasters the hair down with sticky goo, which makes your hair and scalp feel so dirty. It never gives hair that old-fashioned, greasy, patent leather look. You see, Kreml is a very highly specialized hair tonic. It contains a unique and utterly different combination of hair grooming ingredients, which is found in no other hair tonic. That's why Kreml keeps unruly hair so neatly in place longer, with such a handsome, healthy-looking luster. What I especially like about Kreml is that after you use it, you can run your hand back over your hair and your hair never feels sticky or dirty. No greasy film comes off on your hand. Yet Kreml hair keeps hair in perfect order throughout the busiest day, always looking so handsome and well-groomed. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, how about the Devil's Foot or the Cornish Horror?
It was the spring of the year 1897. Holmes's iron constitution had shown some signs of giving way due to a particularly arduous and nerve-wracking winter. In March of that year, Dr. Moore Agar of Harley Street gave positive injunctions that Holmes get out into the country for a protracted rest. Well, the third week in March found us settled in a small cottage near Poldhu Bay at the further extremity of the Cornish Peninsula.
Isn't that rather a bleak country for convalescent, Dr. Watson?
Bleak is putting it mildly. I've never known such grim surroundings, but it suited Holmes admirably. He seemed to blossom in that weird and foreboding fog-swept district.
Just his natural perverseness, I suppose.
Oh, I dare say. Our little whitewashed cottage stood on a grassy headland. From its windows, we looked down upon the whole sinister semicircle of Mounts Bay, that old death trap, with its fringe of black cliffs and surge-swept reefs. In every direction, there were traces of some vanished race which had left as its sole record strange monuments of stone. Holmes spent most of his time pottering round these weird ruins. Everything was going along peacefully until one morning our simple and healthy routine was violently interrupted. We were precipitated into the middle of a series of gruesome and nerve-shattering events.
Quite a surf this morning, eh, Watson? You can see the spray flung up against our windows, and we're a good 100 feet above sea level. I don't think I shall venture out today. Bad weather. Old boy is certainly lashing himself into a fine frenzy.
What do you mean, the old boy, Holmes?
The devil, Watson. The devil himself.
Oh, what are you raving about?
Didn't I tell you that the natives hereabouts refer to that seething death trap down there as the Devil's Cauldron? They think the old gentleman himself lives there.
How unsettling.
Yes, a very interesting superstition. You know, Watson, this locality is supposed to have been the last resort of devil worship in England.
Oh, really? Yeah?
Many scientists believe that those huge prehistoric monuments of stone were part of a temple given over to the Prince of Darkness.
Preposterous.
Oh, I don't know. It's as logical as most of the theories that endeavor to explain their existence. The superstition goes on to say that when the devil was finally driven from his temple, he took refuge in the bay down there. Yes, they claim that on stormy nights you can hear his hoofbeats as he races up and down the rocks.
Holmes, what are you trying to do? Give me a case of nerves?
Hello, what's this? What's this? Someone is running up our path, his cloak flapping about like a giant bat.
Why, it's that Tregennis fellow, the one who boards with the vicar.
Mortimer Tregennis, eh? I wonder what's happened. face as white as a sheet. Couldn't look more upset if he'd seen Beelzebub himself. Open the door, Watson.
Mr. Holmes, thank heaven I find you at home. The most terrible thing has happened. I can scarcely believe it.
Oh, sit down, my dear fellow, sit down. That's better. Now, perhaps you can tell us what has happened.
My family, my sister, we were playing cards.
Oh, slowly now, take your time.
My family, my sister and my two brothers. It's too terrible. Why, just last night I was with them at the house. Tridanic warfare, it's called. All well and happy. We played cards, and now, without warning, I can't believe...
Easy, Tregennis, easy. There's a good fellow.
I left them last night. My sister Brenda, my two brothers, Owen and George.
What time was that?
The clock in the church steeple over at Polo was chiming 10 o'clock as I closed the front door behind me. I'd left them all in the card room, laughing and in good spirits.
And?
This morning, being an early riser, I was out taking a walk before breakfast when Dr. Richards overtook me in his carriage with the news that he'd been sent for on a most urgent call from Tridanic warfare. Something terrible had happened to my family. I jumped in beside him and he whipped up the horses.
And what did you find?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, it was terrible, ghastly. My two brothers and my sister, there in the card room just as I had left them. But what a change. What a ghastly change.
Yes?
Brenda lay back stone dead in her chair. And my two brothers sat on each side of her, laughing and shouting and singing. The senses stricken clean out of them. And all three of them, my poor dead sister and my two demented brothers, retained upon their faces an expression of ghastly horror. A convulsion of terror.
How terrible.
Yes. Dr. Richard was so overcome at the sight that he fell fainting into a chair.
Anyone else in the house besides your sister and brothers?
Only Mrs. Porter, the old housekeeper.
I presume it was she who found them this morning.
Yes. She always goes through the house in the mornings, adding it out before the family comes down. When she reached the card room, the shock was too much for her. She's had a nervous collapse. We had to put her to bed.
No wonder.
An exceptional case. Most exceptional.
That's what we thought. We could find no traces of strangers in or around the house. Nothing was stolen, nothing touched. The vicar believes you are the only one who can solve the case, Mr. Holmes. He insisted I come to you.
I shall be only too glad to handle the matter, of course. But first I must ask you a few questions.
Anything, Mr. Holmes, anything.
To begin with, Mr. Tregennis, why do you live with a vicar, separated from your family?
Well, as a matter of fact, we had a slight argument a few years ago about some property it was. But that was all settled long ago. We were on the best of terms.
Now, Mr. Tregennis, about last night. Do you recall anything at all that was out of the ordinary?
There was one thing that occurs to me. As we sat at the card table, my back was to the window. George was facing me. Suddenly I saw him look hard over my shoulder out of the window. I turned quickly, and just for a moment I thought I caught a glimpse of something moving.
Man or animal?
I don't quite know. My brother said he had the same feeling. It's uncanny, that's what it is. Something came into that room, and that something killed my sister and dashed the light of reason from my brother's minds. Something devilish it was.
If that should prove to be the case, I fear I shall be of very little assistance, Mr. Tregennis. But short of wrestling with his satanic majesty, I think perhaps we can solve your problem. Come, Watson. We'd best go down to Tridanic Water at once.
This is the house, Mr. Holmes.
Whose carriage is this coming down the drive with the blinds down?
There's somebody in it. Listen.
My brothers. My poor brothers. It's Dr. Richard's carriage. He's taking them to Helston Asylum. It's too awful. My poor brother.
Easy, Tregennis, easy. Pull yourself together.
I'll do my best.
Good man.
Which are the windows of the card room?
This one here.
Oh, look out, Holmes. You've upset the watering can.
Dear, how clumsy of me. Sorry, Tregennis. I'm afraid I've drenched your boots.
No matter, Mr. Holmes, no matter. Shall we go in?
Yes. I have seen all I need to see out here.
This way. The card room is over here.
Do you notice anything, Watson?
No, I can't say that I do.
This is the card room.
I see the window's still open. The housekeeper left it that way, I presume?
Yes, she says it was locked on the inside when she came in.
Quite so. I think we may close it now.
Well, I'll do it, Holmes.
No, let me. Candles quite gutted out. Yes, cards still on the table. They have not risen from their chairs, I take it, and you left at 10. That sets the hour of death at some time before 11. Fire burned out. Why a fire? Had they always a fire in this small room on a spring evening?
It was cold and damp last night, Mr. Holmes. The fire was lit shortly after my arrival.
I see. Well, that seems to be about all. No disturbance of any kind. Strange.
Oh, come along, Holmes. Come along. The room gives me the jumps. There's something about the atmosphere, as though death was still hovering in the air.
I wonder. Come, Watson. We will return to our cottage. Should anything occur to me, Mr. Tregennis, I shall communicate with you. It won't do, Watson. It won't do. All the facts are negative.
Well, do you think Mr. Tregennis' account of his actions last night was truthful?
Quite, Watson. Quite. You remember the incident of the spilt watering can? I did that to obtain an impression of his foot.
I take it you succeeded?
I did. With that print as a sample, I was able to trace his movements last night. His story is correct. He left the house at about 10, went straight back to the vicarage, and did not return. Nor did anyone else enter or leave that house.
Then it must have been the man or animal they thought they saw in the bushes. He must have returned and frightened them to death.
There was no such man or animal, Watson. Last night was a dark night. Anyone who had the wish to frighten these people would be compelled to put his face against the glass before he could be seen.
Well?
There is a 3-foot flower border outside the cardroom window. But there are absolutely no footprints there.
Yes, but that means...
Mr. Tregennis' sister and her 2 brothers were alone when death struck the sister down and drove the brothers insane.
But, Holmes, that would be supernatural.
I hope not, Watson.
Look, here comes another visitor up our path. Stranger this time. Big, savage-looking fella.
That, my dear Watson, is none other than the famous Dr. Leon Sterndale.
Sterndale, the lion hunter and explorer?
Exactly.
Oh, what's he doing in this neighborhood?
Oh, I've heard he owns a little cottage about 5 miles down the coast. They tell me he lives there absolutely by himself when he isn't off on one of his expeditions. Never mind, Watson. I'll do the honors myself. Come in, Dr. Sterndale, come in.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes. And this is my friend, Dr. Watson.
How do you do?
How do you do? Mr. Holmes, I've come to you about the tragedy at Dannywater. The police are utterly at a loss. You have a keener brain.
Pardon me, Dr. Sterndale, but why are you so concerned in this affair?
Well, you see, during my many residences in this locality, I've come to know the family of Tregennis very well.
I see.
Their horrible fate has been a great shock to me, Mr. Holmes.
I'm so sorry.
As a matter of fact, I was on my way to Africa. I got as far as Plymouth when the news reached me this morning. I came straight back to help in the inquiry.
But that would make you lose your ship. One sailed for Africa this afternoon, if I'm not mistaken.
I can take the next.
When did you last see the Tregennis family, Dr. Sterndale?
I saw Brenda, Miss Tregennis, 3 days ago, just as I was leaving for Plymouth.
Oh. So you have been in Plymouth for the last 3 days?
Yes, in Plymouth.
But how did you get the news so quickly? Surely the Plymouth papers didn't carry an account of the matter in this morning's edition?
I received a telegram.
Telegram? Might I ask from whom?
You're very inquisitive, Mr. Holmes.
It is my business, Dr. Sterndale.
Very well. The telegram was sent by the vicar, Mr. Roundkelly.
I see.
Now, Mr. Holmes, have you reached any conclusions?
Conclusions? No. That would be a trifle premature. But I have every hope of bringing this matter to a satisfactory termination. Satisfactory to me, that is.
Would you mind telling me if your suspicions point in any particular direction?
I do not feel that this is the moment to answer that question, Dr. Sterndale.
Oh, and I see that I've been wasting my time. I need not prolong this visit. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Close-mouthed fellow, Dr. Sterndale, isn't he, Holmes?
He told me more than he realized, Watson. But he knows even more.
How could he if he was in Plymouth?
But was he, Watson? That statement is something for us to look into.
In just a moment, we'll rejoin Sherlock Holmes as he endeavors to solve the strange mystery of Tredanic water. But first, men, remember, if you want to keep your hair handsome and healthy looking, one of the first requisites is a hygienic scalp. So why settle for just any hairdressing when you can enjoy the extra advantages of a highly specialized hair tonic like Kreml? Kreml contains a special combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair tonic. This is why it keeps unruly hair neatly in place longer with a rich, healthy-looking luster. Yet Kreml never gives hair that cheap, greasy patent leather look. It never leaves hair feeling sticky, gummy, or dirty. Your hair and scalp always look and feel so clean with Kreml. And if your hair is so dry it breaks and falls when you comb it, start using Kreml at once. Let it make your hair feel softer, more pliable, and look as if it had some body to it. Kreml is also fine to lubricate a dry scalp. At the same time, it removes dandruff flakes. A quick massage with Kreml helps stimulate the cutaneous circulation of the scalp. Notice how alive, how invigorated your scalp feels. So for better groomed hair, a more hygienic scalp, change to Kreml at once. Buy a bottle of Kreml at any drug counter. Ask for an application at your barber shop. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic.
I say, Holmes, must you go on smoking that foul pipe? The atmosphere's so thick I can hardly see across the room as it is. Oh, dear, I feel depressed. Who knows what evil thing is stalking abroad in this neighborhood?
Light the lamp, Watson. It's the gathering twilight that makes it gloomy.
Rubbish. Look here, Holmes, what about that Dr. Sterndale? Do you think he did it?
No, Watson. I've been in communication with his Plymouth hotel. His story was correct. He had been there for the past 3 days, and he did receive a telegram from the vicar this morning.
Oh, and he couldn't possibly have had anything to do with the Turgenev tragedy last night.
Quite. I didn't think he had a connection with the tragedy. But there is a connection with... Now what?
Mr. Holmes! Oh, Mr. Holmes!
Open the door, Watson. Ah, my dear vicar, come in, come in. Dear me, you look as though you'd seen a ghost.
It's tracked him down. The curse of the family. He's dead. Dead with that same look of terror on his face.
Who's dead?
Mortimer Turgenev. In his study at the vicarage.
Great Scott.
My servant found him there, sitting beside his table, his face turned toward the window, and distorted with that same convulsion of fear that marked the features of his sister. Oh, my poor parish. Satan himself is loose among us. We are devil-ridden, Mr. Holmes. Devil-ridden. This was his study, Mr. Holmes.
Depressing atmosphere.
It was worse. I had the servant open the window. He's quite ill from shock, poor fellow.
What a terrible look on Turgenev's face, Holmes.
The whole body is contorted and convulsed in a very paroxysm of fear. You've never seen death in this form before, Watson?
No, never.
You know of no poison that would have this effect?
Good heavens, no.
The lamp is lit. It's burning over an hour. Notes the oil consumed. Yet darkness has just set in. Did anyone call at the vicarage this afternoon?
No. I was out myself, but my servant says he let no one in.
Then Turgenev was alone when he...
I wonder. The window was shut at the time of his death, but the lamp was lit. Curious. The window. Let's see. The window. Yes, by Jove, I think I found something.
What's that you're putting in your pocket, Holmes?
And the lamp. Of course, the lamp. Notice this powder which has been spilled on the base of the lamp? Red-brown powder. Give me an envelope, Watson. I must have these specks of powder.
Why are you so excited about the powder, Holmes?
Because it contains the solution of our mystery, Watson. It is the source and the solution.
Holmes, you haven't touched your supper. What a foul night. The wind's rising again.
Oh, have another cup of tea and be quiet.
I don't want to be quiet. I want to talk. I'm tired of waiting here listening to that blasted wind and the roar of the water down there below. Why did you send for Dr. Sterndale?
Because he is an authority on obscure African poisons.
Poisons? Why are you interested in poisons?
Watson, there are two striking points in common in both cases under observation.
Yes?
In both cases, the atmosphere of the room had a curious effect on the persons who first entered it. The housekeeper and the vicar's servant were both overcome, as was the doctor who was called in.
That's right. I hadn't thought of that. The room was still stuffy when we entered it.
Right. And in each case, there was combustion going on in the room. The fire in the first case, the lamp in the second, and the lamp was not necessary. It was still daylight when it was lit.
Yes, but I still don't see what...
Something was burned in each case which produced an atmosphere causing strange toxic effects. An unknown poison.
Good heavens.
I believe we have a sample of that poison in the brown powder spilled on the base of the lamp.
Well, how are you going to prove it?
I'm going to burn some of that powder and notice its effect. Just a small pinch of powder. Yes. Perhaps you'd better leave the room, Watson.
Leave you alone in here? Certainly not.
I warn you, it's risky.
Confound that wind. Come along. Let's get it on with it. Get it over.
Very well. Place your chair opposite mine. Then we can watch each other for developments. If anything alarming happens, we can end the experiment.
All right. Come on. I'm ready.
Good. I put a pinch of the powder into our lamp.
Oh, I say, what a filthy smell.
Musky, subtle, nauseous.
Listen to the wind, Holmes. I'm afraid. I don't know why. That wind. I can feel my hair rising. Holmes, do you see it? That cloud bank, whirling, black and sinister. It's monstrous. It's concealing something too wicked to imagine. Holmes, it's coming nearer and nearer. Can't you smell it? Sulfur and brimstone. You hear that, Holmes? It's hoofbeats. Hoofbeats. I know what it is. I can see it. I can't stand this. It's too terrible. Oh!
Watson, for the love of heaven, don't give in. Don't breathe. I'll smash the window. I'll smash it. There. That's better. Breathe in, Watson. Breathe it in. It's good, clean air. Whew. By Jove, what a narrow escape. I had no idea it was so powerful. I know. It's a poison that affects the nerve centers of the imagination. The strain is enough to kill a man or drive him crazy. Hello, there's someone knocking at the door.
So that's what I heard.
Yeah, seems cleared out. Good thing there was a high wind. I'll close the shutters and draw the curtain. Watson, can you open the door now?
Yes, I think so. Phew, my knees are still shaking.
Good evening, Mr. Holmes. You sent for me?
Yes. Come in, Dr. Sterndale. Come in.
You look rather pale, both of you.
Yes. We've just been conducting a little experiment with the poison that killed Tregennis.
You?
Yes, Dr. Sterndale. Perhaps you'd like to tell us why you killed Mortimer Tregennis.
I? Preposterous. You can't prove it?
No. Let me tell you how you did it. You came over to the vicarage late this afternoon. You didn't want anyone to know you'd visited Tregennis. He was to let you in himself. But how could you attract his attention? You brought some pebbles with you, pink pebbles from a heap beside your house. You threw these at the study window, where you knew Tregennis was working. I found some of these pebbles on the windowsill. Tregennis came downstairs, let you in himself. You had a talk with him, made him light his lamp, placed a pinch of the poison powder in the flame, and left.
You're right, Mr. Holmes. I did kill Mortimer Tregennis. But I'm not guilty of the other atrocity. I swear I'm not.
I believe you, Dr. Sterndale. But you know who did it. Perhaps you'd better tell us about it.
Very well. It was Mortimer Tregennis.
What?
He admitted it before he died. Mr. Holmes, I've been in love with Brenda Tregennis for many years. We were to have been married when my work in Africa was finished. I've lived so long in places where man is a law unto himself. He killed Brenda in cold blood. He killed her. I have nothing else to live for. By heaven, I'd do it again.
How did Mortimer Tregennis get hold of the poison? It was something unusual, almost unknown.
Yes, it was powdered Pes Diable.
Pes Diable? Devil's foot, eh?
Yes, a root found in Africa. Shaped like a foot, half human, half goat-like. I have the only specimen in England.
And you showed it to Tregennis?
Yes. He came over the other afternoon when I was packing. He was interested in my African curiosities, particularly this powder. How he took it, I can't say. I thought no more of the matter until I had received the vicar's telegram and learned how they died. I returned at once. Looking into the tragedy, I was convinced Mortimer Tregennis was the murderer, that he'd done it to gain control of the family fortune. There was the crime, but what was to be his punishment? What jury would believe such a fantastic story? No, I decided to take the law into my own hands. Perhaps if you ever loved anyone, you'll know how I felt.
Dr. Sterndale, what were your plans when you set out for Plymouth?
I had intended to bury myself in Central Africa. My work is only half finished.
Go and finish the other half, Dr. Sterndale. I do not feel called upon to prevent you.
What a gruesome story, Dr. Watson.
Yes, next to the famous Hound of the Baskerville adventure, that was the most gruesome experience that we ever had.
There's just one thing I'd like to know. What did you think you saw in that cloud of smoke?
Mr. Bell, you will have to believe me when I tell you it was too horrible to mention. Just to think of it is enough to make my blood run cold.
Ladies and gentlemen, in a moment, Dr. Watson will be back to tell us about next week's story. Girls, Powers models are famous for their beauty and charm. And one of their most outstanding characteristics is their glorious, shining, bright hair. Now, here's how they keep it so shining.
Powers models use Kreml shampoo. This amazing beautifying shampoo has been especially developed to actually glamour bathe each tiny strand of hair, revealing all its natural glossy luster.
Yes, and don't forget Kreml shampoo is wonderful for washing children's hair, too.
Of course it is, because there are no harsh caustics or chemicals in Kreml shampoo. And its luxurious active foam thoroughly cleanses scalp and hair of all loose dandruff as well as the dirt.
Girls, if you could only see how Powers model's hair fairly radiates natural glossy highlights, I'm sure you'd want to try Kreml shampoo right away. You can get a bottle at any drug counter. Kreml, Kreml shampoo. Now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, now, let me see. Next week, I think I'll tell you about the adventure of the unfortunate brides.
Well, sounds intriguing, Dr. Watson.
It was, Mr. Bell. It was indeed. Intriguing. It concerned a honeymoon in Scotland and a bridegroom who turned out to be a cold-blooded and ruthless killer.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure was adapted by Edith Meiser from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Devil's Foot. Nigel Bruce appeared by permission of California Pictures. Tom Conway through the courtesy of Eagle Lion Pictures. The Sherlock Holmes series is produced by Tom McKnight. This is Joseph Bell speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo, and inviting you to be with us next week at this same time, when Dr. Watson will tell us about the case of the unfortunate brides. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Line does not pay.
Mayview Escort Bureau. Miss Mayview speaking.
Miss Mayview, Lucy.
Yes, Mrs. Appleton.
It's terrible. It's really terrible. And things I recommended you to.
I'm afraid I don't quite follow you.
It's Mrs. Greenleaf, remember? I sent her to you. And we had a foursome. Donald, Leonard, she and myself. And now her house has been robbed. And she wants to place charges with the police against those two wonderful boys we met through you.
Nothing like this has ever happened to any of the young men in my escort bureau, Mrs. Appleton. Nothing, ever.
If I saw Mrs. Greenleaf, would I be able to... If it wasn't my boy? And will you take me to her?
Oh, yes. To both questions.
Very well. I'll pick you up at your place in half an hour. Don, Lenny, come in here, both of you. I think you've made a big mistake.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Escort for Hire, starring Mary Wicks. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Mary Wicks as Lucy Mayview in Escort for Hire. There was nothing about Lucy Mayview nor the Mayview Escort Bureau which would inspire anything but confidence. The Bureau was a suite of rooms in a good hotel, an office suite in the midst of other offices. Neat, clean, efficient, businesslike. Lucy fitted the setting she had chosen. She, too, was neat, efficient, businesslike. The young men who worked for her had just the right modicum of charm, more than balanced by the kind of tweedy, male, rough but good looks which seems to appeal to women who refuse to admit that they've passed the age of 45. So, Lucy did well. So well, she could afford to be choosy about clients. As she explained to her two star employees, Don Williams and Leonard Huntley.
We can afford to take our time, boys. The word's getting round. The ladies love you. They talk. That's enough.
Sure, Lucy. But why not take on a few more fellas, clean up, and retire?
What's your hurry?
Just a suggestion, Lucy. Don likes the green stuff, and so do I.
And I don't? Look, both of you, this business is my operation. I take the real risk, and I do the thinking. We follow my plans.
It was just a suggestion.
Okay. We have two departments in this place, planning and execution. I do the planning, you two execute. Now, about tonight. Mayview Escort Bureau. Miss Mayview speaking.
Miss Mayview, this is Louise Appleton.
Oh, Mrs. Appleton. Yes, of course.
Not bad for her age.
Anything the matter, Mrs. Appleton?
Well, yes and no. I have a problem. I thought you might help me. That is, us out.
Well, if you'd explain a little further, Mrs. Appleton.
Well, I know how much in demand your escorts are.
Yes.
But as it happens, I have a friend.
Let me see. Yes, you have an appointment tonight with Donald Williams.
I have, but my friend, Mrs. Greenleaf, Mrs. Helen Greenleaf, happens to be alone. And we thought it'd be nice to have two young men. I know your bureau is busy, but I thought, as I'm, a regular customer and all.
I understand perfectly, Mrs. Appleton. Of course, I'm sure Donald would take perfect care of both of you.
Hey, one like Appleton's
Shut
enough.
up, Don. Don't worry. If you'll let me look at the appointment book a moment, Mrs. Appleton, Yes, I can send Leonard Huntley along. At the usual rate, of course.
Oh, thank you so much, Miss Mayview. You're simply marvelous. And will you tell the boys that black tie will be sufficient?
Yes.
I've planned the most marvelous evening.
Yes, I'm sure you have, Mrs. Appleton. From all I hear, my boys are just about fighting among themselves for the privilege of escorting you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have them at your place at about 8.
Yes, 8 will be perfect. And thank you ever so much. I shall tell all my friends about your wonderful service.
Please do. Goodbye.
Please do what?
Tell her friends. Now, you know the address, Don. Black tie, both of you. 8 sharp. Flowers, the works. Let the poor babes have fun. They pay for it.
Oh, how I hate to see this evening end. Why, it's been glorious.
Oh, thank you, both of you. We did our best, Helen.
Well, here I am. Good night, Helen, darling.
Good night,
I'm so
Helen.
glad you had fun.
Oh, I did, dear. I truly did.
Shall I take you to your door, Louise, dear?
You stay with Helen. I want her to know what it's like to have two men take her home.
The last time that happened was just after I came out. Oh, boy, that was a party.
No, I'm sure, Linda.
Darling. I'd better go up alone. Mr. Appleton was due in town on the 11 o'clock plane. And, of course, you know, I've been spending the evening with Helen. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Tomorrow, Helen. Not too early. This is my place, boys. A poor thing, but mine own.
Poor? Why, it's as beautiful as your stables, Helen.
And as charming as yourself.
Thank you, boys. Ooh, I feel so wicked for some reason. 2 young men in my apartment after midnight. That must be it.
And not a single husband in sight.
He is, too.
What?
Oh, don't look so startled, boys. Just a photograph in that picture frame on the piano.
Oh, he looks a lot older than you, Helen.
He was. He died 3 years ago. Now put your hats in the hall closet and be comfortable. The liquor's in that cabinet there. Ice chest built in. I won't be but a minute, boys, and then we can have a nice chat.
Yikes. What a layout.
And not a husband in sight.
Hey, look at the liquor stock. This dame's all right.
Smarter than she acts.
Yeah. And that rope of pearls she's wearing. Real, or I'll swallow them on their string.
And the rocks in those bracelets.
Hey, look here.
Found something?
Wall safe. As easy to open as a piggy bank.
Ixnay the Abe.
Now, don't tell me you've been too bashful to mix yourself drinks.
We just waited for you, Helen. Now, what would you like?
Well, you probably think I'm awful, but I'd like a short bourbon and soda for a last drink.
Make mine light, Len. Jack. You know, Helen, if I may, I'd like to say that you've made both Len and myself forget tonight that we're paid employees. You've been very kind.
Of course I have. I wanted a good time, too. That's the only way. That's the reason, boys, that I never go out with the same young men more than once. Familiarity breeds contempt, you know.
Mayview Escort Bureau. Miss Mayview speaking.
Miss Mayview. Lucy.
Yes, Mrs. Appleton.
It's terrible. It's really terrible. And to think that I recommended you to.
Oh, I'm afraid I don't quite follow you.
Well, it's Mrs. Greenleaf, you remember? I sent it to you when we had a foursome.
Yes.
Donald, Leonard, she, and myself. And now her house has been robbed, and she wants to place charges with the police against those 2 wonderful boys we met through you.
Nothing like this has ever happened to any of the young men in my escort bureau, Mrs. Appleton. Nothing, ever. If I saw Mrs. Greenleaf, would I be able to convince her it wasn't my boys? And will you take me to her?
Oh, yes. Yes, to both questions.
Very well. I'll pick you up at your place in half an hour. Don, Lenny, come in here, both of you. I think you've made a bad mistake.
Why, what's wrong? Nothing serious.
Sit down. Sit down.
Sure, Lucy. I've been sitting.
You two took over the Greenleaf joint, didn't you? Well, didn't you?
Now, see here, Lucy, there's no...
Shut up. The Appleton dame just called. Greenleaf is going to file charges.
Holy smoke, she's got no husband.
I know. But Appleton has. And that may be our ace in the hole. I'm going to see Greenleaf with Appleton. If I can get Greenleaf to believe that calling Copper will let Appleton's husband in on what his dear wife has been up to, it may save the situation.
Sure, it'll work. It's bound to. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe not. Nothing except the fact that Greenleaf will knock us all over town. We operate without a license. And the cops have long ears. Nothing except the fact that you looted that place without my okay, without giving me my cut. Now pay up my 50%. The next time you pull a stupid stunt like this, you'll both wind up in cement overcoats. I think you both know that I don't waste words on idle threats. How can you possibly be so certain, Mrs. Greenleaf? Oh, I know it seems suspicious, but I've shown you the boy's references. Mrs. Appleton here has told you how she's been going out with Donald for months. Never a breath of suspicion.
Louise is a fool, far bigger than I am.
Helen, I never thought for one moment.
You never thought, period. Occasionally, Miss Mayhew, I indulge myself in the company of men younger than myself. At the close of the evening, I inform them that they will not see me again. Perhaps that's what caused your employees to work so quickly.
May I remind you, Mrs. Greenleaf, that you are making these charges in front of a third party. That is grounds for a suit.
Louise wouldn't dare testify. You wouldn't dare bring suit. You see, I have proof.
What kind of proof? Why, I can't believe my boy.
I opened the door with the key from my evening bag. After they left, that key was missing. The thieves came in and went out by the door while I was sleeping. Your boy, Leonard, mixed our nightcap. I had my chloral hydrate, just enough to make me sleep soundly. I have a case and a good one, and I intend to prosecute. I held off this long out of respect for Louise. Now, this is your chance to return what was taken from me.
Just a moment, Mrs. Greenleaf. Out of respect for Louise, if you prosecute, the whole story will come out. The world will read in the papers your world of society and society columns that Louise arranged that date.
Helen, don't you see?
Henry will find out, and I'll never be able to hold up my head.
I see only a polite form of blackmail, and I'm not intimidated. My property, Miss Mayhew, or the police.
You're very determined, aren't you? Words don't seem to have much effect. Very well, then. In here, boys.
What?
Greetings, lady. Happy to see you again.
What's the meaning of this?
Obviously, we have moved from the region of words to that of action. All right, John, hold her.
Wait,
Leonard.
Oh, Lucy, you couldn't. Keep your hands off me. I'll scream you.
She won't yell, Lucy.
No, I can't believe it, Lucy, not you.
Shut up, you.
Now, a small sample, Mrs. Greenleaf. I will not have my business interfered with. If you try anything, you'll die. Slowly. You'll beg to die. You understand? Understand? Understand?
Lucy, she's passed out.
Helen. I started this. Let me help in it. Her heart stopped.
Huh?
I was a nurse's aide, I know. She's dead. All right. She's dead. It's murder, I suppose.
Now, wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Yes, brought about during the commission of a felony is murder in this state. Don't argue. Now, you do as you're told. You put her in the bedroom, clean the place of fingerprints, then leave the back way. Louise will escort me out the way we came in. The maid will find the Greenleaf woman. It'll seem natural. And as for you, Appleton, you're into this up to your neck. You breathe a word, and you'll be an accessory before and after the fact. I'll see to that. And what your husband will do will seem mild compared to what the law and the newspapers will do to you. You're one of us now. And from here on in, you'll operate under my orders and do exactly as I ask. If you know what's good for you.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Escort for Hire. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Mary Wicks as Lucy Mayhew in Escort for Hire. There was no doubt about it. Lucy Mayhew had the knack of turning trouble into advantage. She found a way to make Helen Greenleaf's death serve her, and she used it as a club over the heads of the boys as well as Louise Appleton. Lucy could be ruthless. In fact, she rather enjoyed it.
All right, Don. What's wrong?
Nothing.
No, stop it. I've had nothing but bad reports on you. Complaints even. You're preoccupied. You aren't solicitous. You treat our clients as if they weren't even there. 4 weeks of this.
I'm sorry. I'm bored, that's all.
You're scared, Don.
Scared? Of what?
Of murder.
Not a very pleasant item to live with.
Unless you know how to use it.
You do, I suppose.
Definitely. You saw the notice in the paper. Greenleaf died of heart disease. So certified, period.
It's too easy. I don't like it. I am scared, Lucy. Look, it's a month now. Why don't we close up here and go to some other town?
Don't try to quit, Don. You're in as deep as any of us.
I'm not quitting.
Let me show you how this is going to work. Another 3 months, we'll have enough to retire.
Another 3 months, then 3 months more. Will you ever have enough, Lucy?
I've brains enough to know when the cows have been milked dry.
I hope so.
Up to now, Louise has paid for silence with cash. Watch this. Louise Appleton is about to extend the area of her cooperation.
Hello?
Louise? This is Lucy.
Oh, yes.
Are you alone, dear?
Yes, I'm alone.
Then you can talk.
What do you want? I paid this week.
My boys are idle. And idleness breeds mischief, doesn't it?
Yes, I suppose it does.
I want them to keep busy.
You know I can't be seen with them.
But your friends can.
I can't do
But you will.
I won't trap anyone as I trapped poor
But
Helen.
you will.
I won't.
You leave no alternative but to call your husband. A word, Louise, about your dates with Donald. A hint of embroidery. Need I say more? Well, Louise?
What do you want?
I want you to recommend us to your friends. You know the qualifications. Wealth, that little wish to feel wicked again that brought you to us. And, of course, at least one vulnerable spot, a husband, social position, professional status. You're familiar with all that, I know.
Well, I can't guarantee.
Oh, but you can. In fact, you have, haven't you, Louise, dear? You're going to have some new customers for me before the week is out. Aren't you, dear?
You're Lucy Mayhew?
Yes. You're Mrs. Parnell?
Marna Parnell. Louise Appleton.
Thank you. Yes, of course I remember. Won't you sit down?
Thank you. You're younger than I expected.
Perhaps that helps me understand the position of ladies like yourself.
Louise implied something like that. I hardly know where to start.
Well, it's not usual for ladies to come here. They prefer to telephone.
I buy content, not wrapping.
And you prefer to see what you're getting?
Oh, getting into. I gather from Louise that you're a very clever young woman.
Thank her for this. I trust you will have the same feeling.
I hope so, Miss Mayhew. Louise mentioned a young man with whom she'd gone out occasionally. A Donald Williams.
Oh, yes. She seems to enjoy his company. Would you like to meet Don?
If he's here. I have a meeting of the Milk Fund Committee in a short time. I'm chairman this year.
Oh, are you? How nice. Excuse me a moment. Don, will you come in a moment?
Yes?
Mrs. Parnell would like to meet you.
Of course, Miss Mayhew. How do you do, Mrs. Parnell?
How do you do?
Donald, Mrs. Parnell was sent to us by Louise Appleton, remember?
Oh, of course. Charming woman, Mrs. Appleton.
She spoke highly of you, Mr. Williams. I must say you impressed me, if first impressions mean anything.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Parnell.
Yes, I'm happy to hear that. I think they do in this business. Now then, shall we arrange a date for you two? For tonight, shall we say? Never waste time is our motto, you know, Mrs. Parnell.
I don't like it, Lucy. It smells like a double cross someplace.
An odor, Len, with which you ought to be familiar.
All right, don't rub it in. You can't blame a fella for trying once.
But I can remember he tried.
All right, I still don't like it. Don's been going out with that Parnell dame for a month now, and he's got nothing on her we can use yet.
Patience is the foundation of profit in this business.
In this racket.
I prefer the word business. Len, what's eating you?
Well, I've seen them in places, on jobs that I've had for you. She never wears an evening gown.
Perhaps she doesn't like them.
A dame with her figure?
Why does that make you suspicious?
Because it doesn't fit the picture. That dame doesn't look or act or talk like the kind of dizzy characters we usually get, and smart dames don't need us.
You're imagining things, Len.
Not me. I know this business. That dame isn't on the level.
Feel better if I check?
Why not?
All right.
Who?
Louise. If there's anything wrong, she'll score.
Hello?
Louise? This is Lucy.
Yes.
What do you know about Marna Parnell?
What everyone knows. Chairman of the Milk Fund, a very nice-looking...
Oh, stop it. How have you known her?
Why, years and years. Yes, years and years.
Go to school together?
Yes, that's it. We went to Miss Drew's together years ago. It's a very exclusive school. Only girls, the very best family. We had some wonderful times together. We really did.
I don't think you knew her 2 months ago.
You mean when...
When Greenleaf got hers, that's exactly what I mean.
Lucy, how can you
Oh,
imply...
save it, Louise, until you get to my office.
But I can't.
You'll come. I'm sending Leonard for you in my car. You'll come at once. Go get her, Len.
Well, what do you want her for?
She's a rotten liar, and you may have hit on something. Get Appleton.
Bring her back here?
Here? In the hotel? Obviously not. If Louise needs a going over, she'll get it at my apartment. Take my car. And if she needs persuading, I'll leave that entirely up to you, Romeo.
This is your office, Lucy?
I prefer to bring my closest associates to my home.
I see. Thank you.
Why did you lie, Louise? That isn't healthy.
Lie? When did
you
I...
never went to school with that Parnell woman?
Well, I said the first thing that came into my head, I guess.
We don't trust dimwits like that, do we, Len?
No, we don't.
And we don't care for them in our organization.
That's definite.
Well, then let me go. I swear I'll never breathe a word.
Until it becomes the first thing that pops into your head? No, Louise. No one leaves our organization.
It's a life membership. Once in, you stay in until you die.
Quite simple. Who's Marna Parnell? And this time, the truth.
Well, I met her at a milk fund meeting. She's the chairman.
Why did you send her to me?
She seemed lonely.
Len, what's your impression?
But Marna's always gone out with Don.
Shut up. Len's seen them together. Len?
She was lonely in her life.
Well, I don't believe it. Why, she told me...
Told you what?
Well, that she'd never had a date.
This one's lying again, Len. What do you suggest?
A small refresher course in the truth along the lines of what she saw her friend Greenleaf
Don't
get.
you touch me. You keep away from me.
Hold her, Len. Let her yell. No one will hear her.
A pleasure, Lucy. Sit still. You...
I don't care anymore. I can't live like this. Tell me, do what you want. I will talk. I won't talk.
She's brave, isn't she, Len? What'll it be? The usual? Or something special?
Make it fast, that's all. There's something with that Parnell dame that...
All right. Open up in there. Open it.
Help! Please! Help!
Sounds like it.
The name's Willis. Homicide. Here's the warrant.
Lies, all of it.
How do you know until you've read it, Mayview? Oh, Mrs. Parnell. Mrs. Parnell.
You dirty double-crossing...
The dame's a lady cop. I told you, Lucy.
Both of you for the judge. Thanks for tearing them so well, Lieutenant.
You can't make the charge stick. You've got no witnesses except this woman.
Haven't we? When your boy Williams is down at the station house saving your skin with his wagging tongue. Look, Maeve, you get this. Mrs. Appleton came to us with her story in confidence after she confessed to her husband. So we played along until Williams was willing to talk. You're going to find out the hard way, Mayview, that fleecing silly women may be a misdemeanor, but burglary, blackmail, and murder are something else entirely.
Fine does not pay. Mary Wicks, who was starred as Lucy Mayview in Escort for Hire, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Mary Wicks.
It's true that Lucy was clever, but like the vast majority of lawbreakers, not quite clever enough. Now, Lucy represents the type of criminal which lies in wait for the respectable citizen who contributes to crime by wanting to feel just a touch wicked. You'll find her type in any of several dozen activities, from escort bureaus to illegal gambling and back again. All these activities tempt by their daring and by their seeming harmlessness, but inevitably they lead to grief like Louise. And while the criminals involved are almost always caught, The fact remains that in the final analysis, for everyone concerned, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Miss Wicks. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gard. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turtis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking.